I'll let you ask the questions. We'll go wherever which way you want.
Yeah, man, this will be fun.
Yeah, because you have both the rules and the setting to go into. So this will be,
Yeah, it'll be fun.
be interesting. Yeah.
He's told everyone on Discord though it's going to be Rich, not Lord Breslin tonight.
That's
So
right.
a little different there.
All right. Give me a sec. My camera is doing.
You're good now. You're good. Yeah, it was auto going. That's perfect right
Yeah,
there.
I turned off
What's up,
auto
Patrick?
focus. I set it right, and then I turned it off. Otherwise, it
Dude,
can.
I don't know how to do that. Turn it on and off and all that
So it's
stuff.
also-
Hello, Mike.
It's advanced. Maybe it's this optimized video quality with denoise.
What's up, Katana? Rocking and rolling here. Starting off another week. 4-stream week. Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday morning, Sunday night.
Alright, my stupid camera keeps zooming in and out.
Yeah, just don't move.
No, I don't know why. It's some sort of setting somewhere I have to disable. And I thought I disabled it, and
Yeah, it depends on, yeah. Is it a built-in or is it a,
no, it's a standalone.
is it a 4K?
No, it's an old.
Okay, I was gonna say, 'cause a lot of 4K ones, like Brios, they always are refocusing constantly.
No, I think there's a setting somewhere in Windows that allows you to prevent this thing from constantly resetting. And I had found it, and I had disabled that setting. And it just came back. Just to mess with
What's up, that cool Gypskia? What's going on? Woo! Everyone, just a reminder, tomorrow night is the big $75/$25 Miniature Building Authority Authority gift certificate giveaway. So, yeah, that's tomorrow night. So during tonight's game. That's the big one. Once a quarter. Tonight we're just gonna have normal classic D&D wins, which is fine.
I gotta put the chat.
What's up, Nas?
Oh, I need to log into chat and stuff here. Sorry.
Yeah.
Been
I know,
lazy
everyone
here.
forgets. I need to log.
I was watching Blue Box, so now I need to switch it over here. So, yeah.
Alright, let's see what we got here. So I don't have to tell Naz we're live because he's here. So I can skip that one. But then I gotta tell the sleeping people. I gotta tell Balfriend, I gotta tell Josh, you know. People that are always half mentally there. There you are, Rich. Dig me. Hey, dude. It's all good, man. It's all good. We all know, you know, sometimes it just gets... I got a hectic next month and a half with real life work stuff before my last day of work is the 14th of December, and I'm off till January. So, get all that good stuff going at that time. Everyone hitting lives. No, Chuck, if you're there, no. That's why I'm good, man. Give reminders. How you doing, Mike? Things good? Is the game done? Are you gonna be, or next week you all gaming, or are you?
No, man.
That sucks. The week after. No. 2 weeks after.
I gotta remember that I could talk. Here I am typing away in chat.
Yeah, you can do both though, man.
There you go.
That's a great thing. You can do both.
Well, I got the Twitch stream on my main screen.
Good.
So I don't even see the Zoom. Figure I'll just.
Yeah, either or, just, you know, whatever works for you. Twitch will be a little delayed.
Yeah. But that's okay. I'm a
Yeah.
little bit, so it's all good.
It's all good then. Alright. We got our Gamescape.
Now let's see if Rich has a bigger poll than Lord President. Lord President brought in over 100-something people. What was that?
I think this could be even more interesting. Yeah.
It's good.
Got my Gary Con badge today. Yay.
You got what?
I got my Gary Con badge today.
Oh,
Yep.
you ordered one.
No, I got it.
Oh, you got your VIP badge.
Yep.
Yeah.
They sent it to you?
Well, they sent the CR code, and you can see that I got it. So yeah.
Yeah, they're putting together their VIP list.
Yep. Yep. So I will be there now. So yeah. And I will have a hotel room at the convention itself for the first time. The fourth time I'm there, I can actually stay
nice.
at the convention. So
Hey, Mitch. Oh, that's good to hear.
Is it just me, or does the when the graphics come on the Twitch stream, they seem to go there and then they seem to focus on these portrait works images?
It could be because you're watching it through a Twitch at a different resolution or whatever.
yeah, because it's soon they're just there, and then they shift to the next to there.
Yeah. So,
I'm just wondering if everybody else on Twitch is seeing it that way, you know?
no, it depends. Like, I'm broadcasting one step under 4K. I'm broadcasting at 3840 by 2160. now.
Yeah, and Zoom only has low
Yeah, Zoom
resolution
has
comparatively.
limited.
Yeah, it's much lower resolution on Zoom.
I guess I gotta
Oh,
do
I'm
the
looking at- I'm not
Babunski's
looking at
here.
Zoom.
I gotta do Chuck's
Yeah.
ad since Chuck's here.
But the good
Right,
thing with
Chuck?
Zoom is that you don't get
Of
the
the many
delay, so
ancient
you see it in real
civilizations of the
time.
world,
So,
Yep.
none can surpass
Well, I'm
the
actually looking
grand
at it. Oh, this is
majesty of
nice.
ancient China.
I'm actually looking at it on
One of the
Twitch just to
oldest
see what it looks like.
Oh,
long-lasting
okay.
civilizations in the
Because I
history
figure
of
people
the
are
world,
going to throw in
going
chat
back over
comments, and
4,000 years.
somebody's going to slip in that
Roller
Richard says
Games is
Bakuni are the
proud to
best, so I got to
announce our
correct
latest
Oh,
that.
you know it's gonna happen. It always
the Codex
happens.
Sinarum.
well, we know what your campaign is
Codex
about.
Sinarum
It's
covers the
Zul
might and
domination.
profound
Yep.
wonders
That's
of
right.
It
prehistoric
always
and medieval China,
happens there. So,
both historic and mythic for castles and crusades.
You have to compete, so I have to make a Flan
almost
domination
200
campaign
mythical
or something.
Chinese
We'll see.
and over 140 deities and heroes.
Oh, there's
The
John
Codex
Blue
Sinarum
Box.
is
Should I
filled
cut
with
Chuck's
monsters,
ad
gods,
early though? Because Blue
warriors,
Box came on.
and
I guess
more
no,
on
I
the
better
level
not do
of the
that since
truly
Chuck is actually in chat.
told in a narrative
So I guess that
true to
wouldn't be too
Chinese
cool to
history.
do
No,
that.
you have to.
It introduces
Thanks,
the
John.
basics of Chinese
I like these
martial
drawings. They're
arts
very pretty.
and is complete with key. And
Yeah,
the
they got a
many
lot of
legendary
these,
abilities associated with it.
Based
Ancient complex
ones
systems of
coming out
sorcery,
shortly. So
spellcraft, and fortune
Master,
telling.
you
Even
said Master
enchanted
Lurker.
charms
It's better
are
you said that
stored
than
as
something else, Chuck. Thank you. I
Players
don't want
can
to
live
get
out their
30-day
characters'
ban.
adventures in tales
Just kidding.
set in popular Chinese
John
fantasy
Blue
styles,
Box and whole
like
crew. Good to
wuxia
see you.
and more, while within a
There's
pseudo-historical
Bill and Master
setting.
Crafter almost
and
getting
brought
us
to
to a
life
hype
by the
train.
Castle
Oh, he
Keeper
did get
or
us to a
Game
hype
Master.
Nice.
train. Jeez.
Research
6
and written
minutes
by
early.
Brian Young, the wildly popular Mythos series delves
Thanks.
into the mythos of the ancient world, bringing hosts of gods and heroes, legends and lore, and even the monsters and foes that plagued the peoples of ancient times
But
to
you-
the stories that you create.
This looks like a good set of
Codex Sinarum brings ancient China to your table. Join us
aids for your
in the
campaign.
pledge today.
They just put up.
Absolutely. Troller's really
Yep.
stepping it up.
Yeah, yeah. Very impressive.
Troll
Yep.
Lord Games.
Chuck is the best.
Join
Bill,
the
I agree.
fray.
I'll be giving away when we have Tiny to Pass on Sunday. I've been holding a 25 GC. So I'm at least doing a 25 and a 10 gift certificate. So for that, for when she's on Sunday, plus some other stuff I'm holding off. So. Hi! Over level 1. Cut that short. We'll come on a little early since we got the crowd here. We got a raid here. We got a lot of stuff. So 14. If you haven't followed, 14 followers short of 9,000, so we can get our next Best of the Dragon Volume 3 giveaway. So, thank you for that sub. Really appreciate it. But yeah, we are 14 followers away. So, everyone knows every 1,000 followers, I give one away tonight. So, this is Anna and Gary's idea, right, Anna, for this new series?
Yeah, Gary, Julian, and me, we came up with that one evening and said that we should do a continuous series where we bring in people that have run
awesome.
Greyhawk campaigns for or DM Greyhawk for some time to kind of talk about their campaigns, what they've done, what they've kind of cool things they've tweaked, and what they've kept, what they've discarded, house rules, stuff like that. So yeah,
it's neat.
And coincidentally, Gary, picks the DM who is in a campaigner, right?
Yep. That was actually Jay, that Jay and me, or especially Jay, who kind of set up the list of who. So that's not Gary's fault. No.
What?
Blame him for that part. Yep.
Blame me for?
Oh yeah, well, you and me we texted back and forth.
Yeah.
Who to bring in for this series, so to speak. So
Yes. So,
yeah, well, no.
Should we make Rich feel bad that he's the second person I asked? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, if the first person was Lord Brez, then I'm okay.
Yep, there you go.
We were thinking about having 2 on at a time. We said, you know what? Let's just do 1 at a time.
Yeah.
So we're gonna ask 2 people, and then we're like, you know what? Let's make it 1. So here we come live. So we got a lot. I'll try and catch up with all the giveaways and followers and stuff. Hey, good evening. Starting a new week. I'm J.K. Lord Gazumba. With me on Legends and Lore as normal, the great Anna B. Meyer and the legendary Greyhawk Mike Bridges.
Howdy.
Hello.
We have a special guest tonight. He's been on the show before, and there's 2 personae of this person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have the normal Canadian personae tonight.
That's right.
Yeah.
The non-Lord Brez tonight, the non-Sewell is on tonight.
And I always hack up the last name, so everyone knows it was Longetalos on Discord, so and Twitch. Rich Diola.
Dioya.
Yes. So, Rich, good evening. Welcome. Thanks for coming on. Starting us with a new series. Anna, tell us how this came about. My Greyhawk is going to be. We're not going to do these every week. Like once a month. We're going to do
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, it was Scary Julian and me in the evening, like a week ago or something, late in the evening. We said that I think he originally said that you should have DMs come and talk about their campaign, and I said we should do it so we decided to suggest to Jay and Mike to make it into a series, like every couple of months or quarterly or monthly or something like that, to have a series where we have people who run Greyhawk games for some time as a DM or streamer or both, to come on and talk about their campaigns, what they've done, and how they tweaked Greyhawk, what they've kept, what they discarded, house rules, what system they're running it in, and stuff like that, as an inspiration for others to run more consistent campaigning and DMing in Greyhawk, so to speak.
I think it's a great idea. You get to a point after 200 and whatever Gabbins and 174 Legends and Lore, right, Mike? What topic are we going to do? So this is really a good idea. Spread that out there, and and bring in community members. So what we would be looking for, is we want people who've been doing it for, like over a year at least.
Yeah.
Right.
So you feel a bit comfortable in Greyhawk. Yeah.
At least. And we got a whole list that we've compiled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you who we got Dale, Les, Rick Miller. We want to get, we got a whole bunch after
but
Rich
we not only want people who've done it for 30, 40 years, we also want people who've done it for a few years, but at least so they invested a little bit of thinking and tweaking and stuff into it. And also as a way of inspiring new DMs how to get into Greyhawk. So that will be another way how you tackle the setting, so to speak, when you do campaigns. Do you start out just running modules as written and then tweak them, or what what would that journey into running a consistent Greyhawk campaign, or at least one long term, so to speak, or a whole bunch of one shots. That's another way of running it. So yeah.
But only DMs who run Greyhawk campaigns where the Sul are the good guys.
We
That's
might
for
have to
Troy.
look a lot for them, so to
They
speak.
earn
So
That's purely for Troy out there, who's already
Yep.
starting to bust my bust my chops.
Yeah, we will open it up. In going through this, we do this like once a month, I think. Along with the
Yeah,
Living
something,
Greyhawk,
yep.
we got that going
Mhm.
almost like once every other month or whatever. We'll get through a lot of people, and I think Legends Lore is a good place to do it. I talk
Yep.
about my campaign enough on Gavin, so I don't need to talk
Mhm.
about mine here. We'll have plenty of opportunity for a lot of the community to come on and discuss it.
Yep.
Rich, why don't introduce yourself to everyone? Because I know there's a lot of people who don't know. A lot of people may not be on our Discord and Cannon Fire, or Greyhawk Online or whatever. So tell us how you got into gaming, and how you got into
I got the
Greyhawk.
game. Okay, so
Yeah, start.
Geez, I was 10 years old in school, lunchtime. So a bunch of kids said, "Hey, let's try DMing over lunch," right? And then that's what started. So this was
What year?
40 years ago, so 82.
Okay.
There you go.
That's what we
Nice.
started.
Sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
It does. It does.
And then, so I played these guys through elementary and high school. And then when we hit CJEP, so CJEP is like senior high, I guess. It's between high school and university in Quebec. I started up a Greyhawk campaign, and I've been running it since. So you're looking at what? Since I was 18, 34 something years straight.
Wow.
So pretty long campaign, yeah.
So and the thing we have in this community is, when Gitano was just talking on here, his is 40, mine's 42, yours is 34. I mean, or whatever. It's insane how long everyone's is in the group. So we got a lot of Dale's is probably 30 years, Les is probably 35. It's crazy how long everyone's is here. So we got some really cool discussion points. What drew you to Greyhawk?
Well, at the time it was the folio, right? That's all we had.
Yeah.
So I grabbed the folio, and I started using that to run the game. And then I actually got in on this email distribution list. The gold Greyhawk email distribution list with Gary Gygax and Sean Reynolds and Eric Mona and Gary and all the old guys. So
you were on first generation.
I was on the first generation.
Was that on AOL?
No, it was an email list.
Email list.
Okay.
Yeah. So you could subscribe to it, and then you got all the emails, and then you had an address. You can send your email, and then it went out to everybody else.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I was on it too back then.
Wow.
And it was funny because at first I set it to, you could set it to either digest or email, right?
Exactly. You either digest meant that you got, if there was a lot of conversation back and forth, you got one email a day with the whole conversation.
Well, not one a day. You got one every 100 emails.
Oh, okay. That was, yeah.
So what happened was I had it originally on regular emails, right? And these things
it floods your inbox.
Finally, I put it to digest, but I was still getting 3 of these a day because there'd be like 300 of these emails.
Oh, I thought it was once a day because I don't think I
every 100
read more
so
than
yeah. So that was a lot of fun. So I got involved. Samwise just joined Cannon Fire Discord.
Yeah,
he was guys I was going back and forth with as well.
Yeah.
On there, and so I participated in that for quite a few years.
Who else in the community was on that we know the names of?
I believe Christoph was there. At one point. And obviously Gary, Samwise.
How about Stephen Randy McFarlane? Was he involved?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Just Scott Casper was.
All right, Scott Casper. Scott already jumped up and Facebook goes, "Oh, I have an old campaign, so Scott wants to come on." So yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I remember that. There was obviously Rich Tricky, right? What's his name?
Oh yeah, Chat Demon. He was there, and yeah, there were.
Okay.
And Yeah, there were
Q
several. I think it was like 400 or 500 people on the email.
Many who aren't
ma-
with us.
yeah.
Okay.
And Zavoda was there too.
Yeah,
Jason was there?
He
Okay.
was. Oh yeah, he was active back in the day. So there were lots of people. Well, not that many active, but there
I
was.
couldn't
I think
figure
at
out.
least. Yeah, it was like 100 people. I don't think I've ever sent anything, but I archived
sent
a
a
lot
lot.
of it.
That's where I started my omnipotent views. If you go back,
Uh-huh.
I sent my
Yeah.
views there.
Yeah.
I'd write it for my campaign and then put it up there so people send me back feedback and whatnot. Then when
Lots of
Cannon
options.
Fire started, I slowly moved everything we had put in emails. I started dumping it on Cannon Fire.
Yeah.
What year did you join Cannon Fire?
I think I'm like number 100 and something. So
Okay.
it was
I think
early.
I joined 2001 or 2000. Yeah, I think it was 2001 or 2001, somewhere
at the
around there.
start.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like within the first 3-4 months of it starting.
Wow.
I would number I don't have, but probably in the 200s or something like that. It was going on a little bit, but not long, so to
We
speak.
were in our
I
bubble.
kept I was searching around, but it was fun days, but it was kind of not well organized and kind of all over the place, but it was fun. And then
And then the
Sorry.
bad
Fun.
stuff happened.
yeah
And not
yeah
fun sometimes, right, Anna? Sometimes it was fun, sometimes it was
Yeah.
not so fun. Those flame wars were
oh, exactly that they were it was called Cannon Fire for a reason. So, to
Yeah.
speak. So yeah. People don't realize that today, but back then, damn, it was tough. Yeah. Mhm.
I remember we got a couple of rage quit, like Sean Reynolds rage quit, a couple other people just rage
Mhm.
quit. I mean,
Yep.
it was-
Sean will be back in November again, by the way,
Yeah.
everyone. So don't. Sean's
Yeah.
coming on, and it'll be on a
Yeah.
Gavin though. He can't do a Wednesday night. It'll be a
Yeah.
Sunday night. So Sean will be on again shortly. So
yes, it was fun, but it was and a lot of good material flew out of that. Like every once in a while, you guys were on Discord and whatnot. You'll turn around and you'll say, "Hey, does anybody have something like this?" And I rummage through my hard drive and I find the
Mhm.
emails I had copied from back then, and I'll say, "Hey, here's something from 1992," and I'll just
Oh, wow.
it up, right?
I think I joined 95, 96 or something like that.
That's very
Yeah.
cool.
Mhm.
So, well, you have down here that you started, your older stuff is lost, but you have everything recorded from 92, which is still impressive.
Yeah.
Thanks, Patrick, for doing that for Big Mac. And you say, it's too bad Casey's not on. You started in Branded Kingdoms?
Yeah, so I started in the Bandit Kingdoms because I looked at the folio and I said, "Where's a crazy place where you could just start?" And my players at the time was pretty random pickup. Right, I had a lot of friends and they all wanted to play, but they couldn't commit, so they'd just show up and play a couple of sessions and then they'd disappear, and then they'd come back a few months later and whatnot, and somebody else would jump on. So I figured the Bandit Kingdom is the best place to just have like pickup people, right? Because you pick up bandits left, right, and center. And you didn't really need a consistent storyline because anything could happen in the Bandit Kingdoms.
Yeah.
So I figured it's a good place to just go, just run with it, right?
And this is pre From the Ashes, too.
That's right.
Yeah, so it's like everything's static right now.
Yeah. So it was complete chaos back then in the Bandit Kingdoms. So I played like a bunch of petty warlords everywhere. So the characters made a difference because they were a force to be reckoned with when you had a bunch of petty warlords who might have only had 20 to 30 troops working for them, right? So you get a party of 5 high-powered adventurers. That's scary for those villages. So it was a lot of fun. So I did that for a bit. Then we moved to Firyundi. Firyundi was a long time. We spent a lot of time there.
It says that you say 1994. You went into the Firyundi, and this is still pre From the Ashes. So
Yes, when we started pre From the Ashes, that's right. So the interesting thing is getting back to the recording all this, and my players, Mike of which is one of them, and Dale is online as well, know that I tell them at the end of every session they have to send me the write-up. So players take turns sending me a write-up of this session, what happened that session. So I have all those write-ups going back to 92. And so I took those write-ups and I put them in these. So you see the screenshot every once in a while, Squad 13 that pops up.
Yeah.
So I take these mini campaigns, these storylines, and I put them in a book at the end when we close out with those characters. So this is 50 sessions or something like this one. And what I do is, so everybody will do the write-up. So if you scroll on a page, you'll see, each a little write-up of each adventure. And there you go. And there's in purple is an omnipotent view I sent with that particular adventure. And that's it. So then I would take them one after another and just append the stories one behind the other that the players would send me.
So
And then at the end,
so wait a minute. So not only are you DMing,
yeah.
but you're post synopsizing. I know it's probably not good English. The entire adventure based on what they're writing back to you.
Yeah, so they would do a write-up of what happened that session with their own flavor. So the neat thing is every player gives it a certain spin. Like some people like to put a lot of pictures, other people like to put prose, some people like to write in the character of their character, right? So they'll make fun of the other characters in the write-ups. When you read it, it's pretty interesting because you'll get because if I have to have 6 players, it rotates every 6 weeks. So you'll get 6 different styles of write-up in there. But when you read the whole thing, you get a nice story of what happened during the 3-4 years of that storyline.
So you have multiple compilations of these?
So this one is
May 18th, 2018 to February 2022.
Yeah, that is I think the number 10, the 10th one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Well, like I said, so I ran about.
That's an enormous work. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so I've ran 400 sessions.
Okay.
And roughly a little bit more.
Is that adventures or is that sessions of like
sessions?
Okay.
Each session is about 8 hours.
Okay.
So
that's a long time.
Yeah. So what we do is we just run the sessions and then the guys give me a write-up. And I just at the end, like I said, at the end, then I take some time and I put it all together. So what I did on this one is one of the newer ones that just ended a few years ago. You'll notice this one we actually started on VTT. So if you go to the top.
I'm trying to single column this and it's not working. What am I doing wrong? A stupid word. I should have turned it into a PDF.
Yeah, so go all the way to the top.
Yep.
And all the way to the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So you see on the right, normally at first I start taking pictures of the people's tokens, the actual physical miniatures, and I put them up there. So I say, okay, because the guys put a lot of pride in they'd either paint them themselves or they particularly choose them. So what I would do is I would put the pictures of them there. But since we're at the VTT, I actually put the VTT images of the different.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see at the top, it says who the players are with each of the different characters and all that. So I have a record of it.
So you got guest appearances by Andre Jaguar. That's a hockey player's last name too.
Yeah.
Gary Julian, Andre Alexian.
Yeah. So what happens is there's certain key players who are there the whole time, and then every once in a while I get people who show up for like 10 adventures or 10 sessions or 5 sessions or whatever. So I just have them. Yeah.
That's and yeah, you got to take pride in got to have your own miniature for each character, or when you're doing VTT because of COVID. Have you stuck to the VTT or are you back in the?
Yeah, no, I have, and the reason why what happened was so I have 2 campaigns running right now. So I have one called the Buccaneers. So you notice this is Chronicles of Squad 13. So Squad 13 was a squad in against the Giants. It started off as a squad in one of the companies sent by the Grand March into Joff to help against the Giants.
Nice.
And their company got wiped out and they're the only surviving squad. And so they basically made their way in against the Giants and all this and surviving Joff and whatnot.
Lucky 13.
Lucky 13, right? And so that was their story. So right now I have the Buccaneers. So that's with Mike and Dale and Amy's in there and my friend Paul and Mark. So Paul and Mark were basically I've known them since I was in my 20s. So they were in some of the earlier Chronicles. Mm-hmm. And they played and they stopped playing for about 10 years to raise families and whatnot. So they came back. So they want to start another game. So I pulled them in and I pulled Mike, Dale, and Amy. And since we're all over the world, right? All over the state,
right. Yeah, that makes sense.
I said, okay, we'll play VTT.
Yeah.
In parallel, I have another one, which is Wings of the Phoenix, which is with these guys. So these guys finished Squad 13, and they started over at low-level characters for Wings of the Phoenix. And normally we play this in person. And I thought, okay, now that COVID is over, we'll go back to playing in person. But then one of my players who moved to California 20 years ago, contacts me and he says, Rich, I hear we could do VTTs now. I want back in. So I do it VTT with him. So what I did is I actually have a tripod in my house where I put the camera up to look at the table. So I have 4 of my players around the table.
Yeah, it's
I bought a speakerphone. I put the tripod and then I put a big screen TV. So when my friend calls in, he puts his face up and his video cam up on that big screen TV, and everybody else sits around the table and we talk on the speakerphone. Everybody has a little laptop, so the VTT action is there for the fights and whatnot. And that's how we do. We do kind of like a hybrid.
Rich. Well before streaming, when I had Marco in Ohio, I had an iPad, and his head was on the iPad, and we had to move that around before I was in this house in the previous one. So I mean, it works.
I think VTT, even when you sit around a table, now when I'm using Albert Rodeo, I think I would love to have that if players have it around the table. That I think would be the perfect, because you get all the visuals from an online game, but you still sit around the table. I think that will be optimal, so to speak. So I will probably keep the digital part that way, but skip the Zoom bit and sit around the table. That will be kind of an optimum game for me.
So what I did was I built the table during COVID. I built a gaming table. So I'm pretty handy. So I built myself a gaming table, and the table has a removable insert in the middle.
Nice.
And it's sized for my TV. So I could take my TV and put it there.
Yeah.
And I could then have the VTT on the table in the middle of the table. So my players would sit around.
Yeah.
Look at the big, on the big screen, the VTT map and the characters moving around and all that. So I have that set up, but I haven't used it yet because, like I said, I have now people remote. So, we modify the way we play.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, some synopsis here. Your group has done a lot over the 30 years. You reclaimed the North against Ayus. Now, is that you didn't reconquer Ayus? You took the lands back, correct?
Yeah. So what happened was I started off. So before From the Ashes, I had Ayus already attacking Furiandi.
Okay, makes sense.
Makes
So
sense.
I had him conquer, and then when the Ashes came out, I said, "Oh, they copied me." So I just assumed, okay. So I said, "Okay, guys, I had to adjust the timeline a little bit because I was ahead."
Same here.
So I kind of tweaked it a bit, and I said, "Okay, so I used to conquer the whole North. I just used it From the Ashes." And so one of the series is them freeing the lands of the North, right? So going up there and attacking the keeps. I had just come back from Scotland on my honeymoon. And so I visited all the castles in Scotland, pretty much.
Inspiration.
Yeah, lots of inspiration. So I brought back all the pamphlets and documentation and books that I had bought on each of these castles. And in them, there was a lot of maps. So I said, okay, so guess what the maps are of all the castles you're fighting up north, right? So I inspired myself from all of those and peppered the northern part of Furiandi with those maps, and then I'd have them raid and kick out the orcs and the trolls and ogres or whatever else to start to free the north.
Yeah, that's cool. For all right, I got to ask this question because I had the same feeling. You do all this work, and I don't know if you were in deep on wow, this whole big thing from Sergeant's coming out, right? And then you look at it, you're like, oh my God, this really fucks up my campaign. What do I do? Right? Did you have that feeling like, I got to redo this? No? Okay.
No. Okay. I was able to navigate it not bad.
Okay.
Yeah. I was,
I waited 5 years.
Yeah. I was campaigning in Furiandi, right? Furiandi didn't have that big an impact, right? At the time.
Right.
So,
okay.
So I have no Anna when it comes to maps.
I'm just
no, but the important thing is that you visualize it that it's good for your games. That's the thing. It's a tool.
My players really don't care about drawing per se. So we kind of as long as you can get the message across, they're happy.
Okay, that means that Gary can't play in any of my campaigns ever. I'm just kidding.
So I guess this is an order you have down here. You reclaimed the North against Ayus. Then you went into Reynolds and Primus' Slavers.
Yeah. So what happens is So in Furiandi, the guys formed, remember the module Border Watch?
Oh yeah.
So I put the guys through Border Watch,
Mhm.
and they enjoyed it. And then they decided to form a mercenary company called Border Watch. That was the name of the mercenary company. So they got a writ from the king, and they freed a village. So they set up a small manor there, and that became their home base. And then, kind of like Altamira, like you run in Altamira, every new character they built would join this mercenary company, and they'd be sent off from this. So it became like their historical characters were still in it and
Is
whatnot.
that this or is that
No.
something? No,
Nope.
that's not this. Okay. Okay.
Comes
This was
later.
up in north. This was up near Fendrelin type of thing, just on the flare line in the top right corner.
Okay.
Of, all right.
So up here. So up in this area up here.
Don't to the right.
Yeah.
All the way on the right. Go right.
The Horn Society.
Yeah.
Side.
Society. Yeah.
Okay.
So what happened was, so they started with that, and then what I would do is I'd run a campaign. So they'd do the storyline for about 3-4 years. The guys would get roughly the equivalent of 15th, 16th level, and then they get bored. They say, Rich, we want to try new character concepts. We want to try something new. So those guys they'd go off in the sunset. They'd be teachers, trainers. They'd retire in Hollow Haven, which was where Border Watch had set up their mercenary headquarters, and they'd start with new characters. So the first one was Reclaiming the North, and then we went off against the slavers. The guys wanted to say, hey, we heard about the slaver modules, we want to do them.
Okay.
So I ran them through the slavers campaign with a bunch of my own tweaks to it, obviously, in my inserts, and they did that. And then after the slavers, what was the next one after that? I don't remember them all.
So you
South
ran the
Province.
4 slaver modules
Yes.
and slavers, the
Yes.
second edition slavers,
Yes.
the
Yeah,
whole
I
shebang.
ran the whole fun.
Nice.
I had the whole blast.
Nice.
Then they said, Rich, we want to try a little bit in the East. And this was a mistake on their part. They regretted this. They said, let's go to this Great Kingdom. The Great Kingdom is pretty evil. Let's see, how that would
Not
work.
wrong.
So I said, okay. So what I did was I said, okay, so Furiandi at the time, Kingdom of Alyssa just came out. And Furiandi wanted to send a diplomatic mission to Alyssa to try to drum up some trade, because Furiandi was broke, right? Fight against Ayus, they needed funding. So they said, we'll open up trade with Alyssa, the Great Kingdom, the portal to the Great Kingdom. Maybe we'll get some money going back and forth. But they knew the Great Kingdom was Hextorian run, and Furiandi's erroneous run to a certain extent. So they sent the diplomat with regular soldiers to protect them, and they hired some mercenaries from Border Watch to take care of the more, coming outside the lines, right? So the party members were supposed to go and assist the diplomat with, spying missions and, background information and whatnot. So they went there, and I really laid on, Primp at its finest. Mercenary games, slavery, raping in the streets, the whole 9 yards, right? I really went heavy.
Sure.
And then what happened was the priest of Hextor knew the guys for Furiandi were there, so he went into tremendous pleasure in taunting them by doing evil acts in front of them, but we're all legal in Primp, just to see if he could get the guys for Furiandi to make a diplomatic faux pas, so you could hang them. So they did that for a while, and then my players rebelled against me, because my players at the time didn't like that kind of intrigue and backstabbing. They're hack and slash type guys. They're like, we want to kill somebody, and you're not, we just can't.
Understood.
So
I understand.
yeah, so they left there. They've had enough, so they attacked the Church of Hextor to free a bunch of slaves, and they fled with their tails between their legs. The priest of Hextor army chasing after them to a certain extent through Almor. So I took them through Almor into Nyrone. So I did a bunch of adventure in war torn, destroyed Almor. So with undead and whatnot as they're fleeing from the Hextor revenge party, and so I put them through Almor. And then they got to Nyrone, and they took a boat to Furiandi, and they said, "That's it. We're never going east again."
He's out.
No eastern side of the map. You learned your lesson.
So So
Wait a second.
I'm
you
kidding.
just sent us to the east side of the map recently.
yeah, that's right.
That's not good.
So then after that, I believe I sent them west, right, Jay? I think it's where
Yeah, you have down here, Sea of Dust, just a minor thing.
Yeah. So then they said, okay, that's it. The east is bad news. We're going west with your next characters. I said, okay. So I took them through the Bacloony lands. So I gave them this bunch of fun adventures in Bacloony lands and whatnot.
The dark times.
Yeah, it was horrible. I had to bite my tongue and pretend to be nice Bacloony. And so I did that. So they had a lot of fun there. And then they went into the Sea of Dust and they went to the Lost City and they raided it.
Nice.
And they found a bunch of information there. And that led us into the next campaign, which was they had to take their, that's right, Shar. So they got a bunch of information in the Sea of Dust, and they found out some stuff was stolen from there, and they had to go back to Shar. Now what? So I really twisted. So one of my players made a very stupid mistake. Mark. You know, Mike who plays with us.
Yeah.
So
What
Mark,
did Mark do?
yeah, Mark decides to be unprepared all the time, as you well know. So he decided to play a mentat, which is like a psionicist. So he looks at me and I said, okay, give me your character backgrounds. He goes, oh, Rich, whatever, I don't care. And I said, really? And he goes, yeah. It doesn't matter what my background is.
Oh,
And
why?
I said, okay. Great. So this guy was a psionicist, right? So I said, okay. So what ended up happening was, and he did not know this, was that he was actually a psionicist from the Scarlet Brotherhood. And what the psionicist did was to infiltrate Furyundi. He buried his own personality and created a fake personality, which was the player character.
I love it.
So the player character was a fake personality. So at one point, the real personality tried to take back his body.
Uh-oh.
But the starting of the premise was that the reason why he didn't do it right away was because something happened. He tried to infiltrate something. It went wrong, and he got his head banged up. So the fake personality didn't go away.
Yeah.
But the real Scarlet Brother guy kept pounding at the walls, trying to take back his body, right? When they went to the Sea of Dust, they unlocked this, and they found out that, and then the guy came out, and he took over the body. So the rest of the party members said, well, we can't kill him because he's our friend. So they knocked him out.
Are you playing the other persona?
Yeah. So they knocked him out. So they're like, oh, shit. So then they had to find a psionicist to go into the guy's brain to find their friend's personality so they could get him back in control of the body. And so I ran a whole bunch of it. So they had to go to the Kingdom of Shar to find out how this guy, his name was Uncle. That's all they know. They call him Uncle. They have no idea what his real name is. So they had to go back to Shar to find out, who this uncle is, how to put him back in his cage, right? And so then I had a whole adventure where the psionicist projected them into his mind. So it was a complete couple of sessions of mind fighting, right?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So the only time I can ever recall using psionics in D&D, and they were from the Scarlet Brotherhood. Is that really a thing, or is this just something I've stumbled upon that's in common?
yeah,
There are psionicists in the Scarlet Brotherhood. They have some.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they went in there, but they couldn't kill Uncle because he was too powerful. So they kind of like put him in a closet, like a mental closet. They locked it, right? So then they freed the guy. They're all happy. And but what happened was the temptation was there because every once in a while they come across a riddle or a problem, and Uncle would have the answer. So they had to say, do we let him out of his cage to answer the question, and hopefully we could put him back in? And so there was this whole, so that went on for a while.
How did he play with his character in a cage all those weeks?
Well, that was the fun thing, right? Like
You need the right player to pull this
Yeah.
off,
Oh.
otherwise you
Oh my
screwed. Yeah.
gosh.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Now the interesting thing was, so Mark played this Scarlet Brotherhood in disguise Sewell. His brother Paul played a Bacluni, a Paynim. And the whole campaign, they were mocking each other. Every
Oh,
time Mark would
God.
make a mistake, Paul would make fun of him. Every time Paul would make a mistake, Mark would make fun of him. And Mike, these guys are a bunch of jokers, right? So the whole time they were just
Yeah, I can
for failure.
totally see this.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the Kingdom of Shar. Then after that,
Back to Fury it says.
back to Friundi. What did we do back at Friundi after
It
that?
says clean up residual evil
Okay.
up north.
Yeah, so they went up and there was still some residual. So they went up and they started with low level characters again, and then they went up north and I did low level, cleaning up the residual orcs and whatnot who were still hanging around northern Friundi. And then I think I jumped to Joff, right?
It says then Expedition to Ruins of Greyhawk.
Oh yes, okay. This was a fun one. After that, they said, okay, enough of this intrigue and whatnot. We just want a pure dungeon delve dungeon. So they made Fateful Edge, and it was just the expedition to the ruins of Greyhawk. It was just one mega campaign.
Have you done an urban campaign up to this point?
No, so I'm getting to that.
All right.
So after that, after the Fateful Edge, then they wanted to go back to Free and they did Hope's Beacon. And Hope's Beacon was they start off as small. And they want to do this, we want to be small villagers and grow up. And so it was all in this little province, a little farming province in the middle of Friundi. And they were basically homegrown heroes, and they made friends with like the blacksmiths and the bakers and whatnot. And then bad things were happening to the baker, and they had to help the poor baker. Like it was a lot of fun, but they were very, very powerful in this small area. But so what happened was, so when I write a story arc, as Mike knows, I have a story arc. So the campaign has a beginning and it has an end, and I usually, the middle part I fill in depending on what the players do, but there's an arc going on. So what happened was the dragons decided humans have been ruling this place too long. We've had enough. We want our lands back. So they decided that this small little farming province near Littleburg in the middle of Friundi is going to be ground zero.
I thought it was close to it.
Right, so there's a little rift opened up, and at first only a bunch of goblins come storming out, right? So the player's like, oh, okay, a bunch of goblins. So they fight the goblins, and they figure. But then other goblins pop up somewhere else, and like this small province is already having trouble with all these monsters popping up from underground and all over the place and whatnot. And meanwhile, the dragons are starting to hire a little bit more, let's say, manipulative people to come take over the mayor of this village, or like a doppelganger or something like this and whatnot. So they're trying to figure this out. And the funny thing was, in one of the first adventures, they go into the small forest near Littleburg, and there's a like this statue, right? And it's a 4 figures, but it's worn out. Like the figures are worn. You can't see who they are. There's just 4 of them, and they don't think anything else. So there's some wood elves in there. There's a lot of elves in Friundi, statistically speaking, based on living Greyhawk. So I put a bunch in this forest, and they find out that there's all these giant ip trees in this forest, really, really old. And they, over campaigning there, they realized that, hey, this forest, this area of Friundi was never conquered by Vecna. The elves of this place fought off Vecna's hordes of undead, like 1,000 years ago. So like, oh, that's pretty impressive, right there. Oh, that's why the trees are so big and the elves are there, and still got that sylvan fairy feel to it, and ancient grove and whatnot. So they're fighting these dragons and whatnot, and they save some elves over time, and the elves becomes friend with them, and et cetera, et cetera. And one of the elves they save is this priest of Corellian Lorathian, right? And so he pops out as a recurring NPC, and things go on and whatnot. And finally, there's the big mega fight against the dragon, right? They finally go head to head, mano to mano with the dragon. So they fight against the dragon. But
Did you say what kind of dragon it was?
red dragon.
Okay.
They're going man to man against this red dragon. The red dragon, as he dies, he unleashes wards, explodes the volcano that they're in. Right? He figures if I'm going down, you're all going down with me. So basically the volcano explodes and they're in it. They're in the volcano. And as the lava just erupts around them and it starts to burn the skin off, or basically burns into ash, this priest of Corellian Larathian shows up and he stops time. And he tells them, he says, I can save you, but you got to do a favor for the elves. So they go, all right, we're in. Like, whatever it is, we're in, right? Whatever favor the elves need, we're in, because either that or we're dead. So he says, okay. So they sign on, they shake on it, and he sends them back in time, time of Vecna.
Oh no.
And he tells them, you have to save this forest from the hordes of Vecna. And the statues that they had found at the beginning was statues of them saving that area against the hordes of Vecna.
Nice.
At this point, they're high-powered adventurers, and they know of Vecna and Vecna's hordes because they've heard about him in history, so they know how to beat him because they know what's coming.
That sounds cool.
And then, so then I asked them, I said, okay, do you guys want to now live and fight against Vecna? Do you want to run a whole campaign against Vecna in that time with your characters? Or do you want to retire them and move on to something else? So they chose to retire them. And then they ran Squad 13. They said, let's go fight the giants in Joff. So off to Joff they went. Joff we finished. We did the against the giants. We did a bunch of side quests and whatnot. And they killed the fire giant and all this was all good. And I said, okay, do you want to go into the Vault of the Drow after the Drow? And they said, nah, we've done this for 3-4 years again with these characters. Let's close this off. We now want to run an urban campaign. Going back to your question, Mike. So now they're in Radagast City.
Nice.
But my players are not the brightest. So
Well, I've heard that before somewhere.
Yeah.
so,
Imagine that.
so I asked them, I said, okay, well, they're smart. They just, they make unwise choices, let's say. So I said, okay, you guys want to run an urban campaign, right? In Radagast City. So I tell them, they said, yeah, that's what we want. So go off and write your characters for an urban campaign. And off they go and they come back. And this is what they picked. My son comes back, he's playing a fire mage. So I'm like a Soul fire mage, a fire mage in an urban campaign. I said, okay.
Yeah, that's good. Breaking laws left and right.
Yeah. One guy says, I'm going to be a priest, a warrior priest of Cord. I said, okay, this is Soul, it's not bad. Then one guy goes, I'm going to be a ranger who doesn't like people. And I'm like, okay, but at least it's human. At least it's human.
Yeah.
Then one guy goes, I'm going to be a human, a Soul rune mage human. So I said, okay, that's not bad. At least that, I can see that. Then the guy goes, I'm going to be a half-orc assassin illusionist. So I'm like, all right. But then the last guy goes, I'm going to be a berserker half-ogre.
Ooh.
So I'm like, all right. So the first adventure.
Oh my
Where
gosh.
was that in the last campaign with the giants?
Well, exactly, right? So I'm like, I said, guys, this is an urban adventure, right? You know this, right? And they go,
It's
yeah.
a subterfuge.
Right. So, and then they figure, they built all their characters combat heavy. So using D&D terms,
Yeah.
their highest charisma guy has like,
Sure.
there's 2 of them with 12 charisma. 3 of them have like a 7 charisma, and one of them was like a 4 charisma,
So there's no negotiation skills.
right? At least one of them has a high wit. Everybody else has average wit or low wit. The half ogre has like a 4 wit, right? And so the first session is it's a murder mystery kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, roll a gather information. Like they fail. Okay, what do you know about magical orders? Nothing, because they're not low intelligence, right? So that whole first couple of they're getting destroyed, right? It's all knowledge checks and stealth checks and all stuff like urban stuff, right? And they're like, well, we want to beat on people. We've got high strength characters. I'm like,
You told them.
the city, right? I said, you guys picked an urban campaign, not me. I didn't choose it. So, so yeah.
Yeah. Where are the thieves? Where are the,
Yeah.
that's what you need. Yeah.
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 And so that's
Interesting. Is that
My
still
wish-
going on?
And that's Radius
It's going
City.
that just started. This is a couple of months.
If
It's
they
now
had just been on the other side in the Bandit Kingdoms, that'd be fine.
that'd be perfect, right? So so that's good. But the nice thing about my system, it's a point by system. So really, they start off with 30 points, and by the end they're gonna have like 500. So you have plenty of runway to switch things around. So they're slowly modifying their characters by buying different skills. So that's my urban campaign, and then I got the one Mike's in, which is a Buccaneer campaign, which is in the Azure Sea down south, centered around the city of Narisban. And Narisban the Ancient, the oldest city in the Flaness, according to my lore.
Where the hell's Narisban?
Aha, the Olden
Open
Isles,
Isles. Yeah.
right down there.
Right there. Ah, there it is.
Yeah. So
Uh,
what I've done here is so the Sul call this the gates. So the gap between the Olden Isles is the gates. It's the gates from the south to the north. He who controls the gates controls the trade from the Sul Imperium to the northern Flaness. And the Olmen controlled the gates back when, so the Olmen and the Sul empires existed at the same time, and they fought wars in the Southern Sea, the Volgan Ocean to the south. So the Olmen controlled the gates. Then they pissed off the Sul. So the Sul sent up a legacy fleet up there to teach the Olmen a lesson that will last for it's basically called a legacy fleet in terms of we're gonna teach you a lesson that your children and grandchildren and descendants will always remember not to mess with the Sul. And that's why they call it the legacy fleet. So they sent it up and they basically conquered Narisban, and they said, we now control the gates, and we're gonna wipe you Olmen out. Then the Rain of Colors fire happened, so you got a bunch of Sul with the navy in this area with no empire backing them. Fortunately, as you know, the Olmen got kicked out of the Monoland by the Tuv, so the Olmen became refugees. The Sul are refugees, so you got a whole bunch of Sul and Olmen refugee islands everywhere in this area. And some have learned to coexist, like in Narisban, they've learned to coexist. Other places have not. And so the Buccaneers are they were shipwrecked on an island.
We're a faded group.
This is where they're interested. So they were shipwrecked on an island that they were chased there by the Scarlet Brotherhood ship. And they shipwrecked there where they found an ancient Olmen temple. In the Olmen temple, there's an ancient Olmen god who was chained by the Sul. The Sul could not kill him, so they chained him with magic and metal. And we just set a bunch of skeletal warriors, and then servants, to watch over the Olmen god so he wouldn't escape. And the legacy fleet was supposed to run around and find a way to kill this god. But then the twin cataclysms happened, the Olmen fleet got scattered. 1,000 years later, Mike and his party members landed on this small little island, and one of them was a priestess of Ouija. And right, so the Ouija said basically, hey, since you guys are here, why don't you find a way to kill this god? So all these poor skeletal warriors,
Brand new characters, and we're trying to kill a god.
That's awesome.
says, why don't you kill this god? And so that all these skeletal warriors who's been on watch for almost 1,000 years could finally have their rest.
The god must be pissed off too.
And the god's pissed off, right? And so these characters are now doing the old Star Trek thing, jumping from island to island. Some islands are part of the overall quest to find a way to kill the god, and some are just fun adventuring, depending on what we're in the mood for.
So all in this area here?
No, so we went there, we went south, and now the guys, so they're trying to find a way to separate the god's soul from his body, so they could trap his soul. So when they kill his body, the soul doesn't go back to his home plane and then reform and come after them, right? You don't want a god pissed off at you. So for that, they found a psionicist who They found a psionicist who found a way to, he's trying to create psionic undead. So, but he can't use necromantic power. He's a psionicist. So what he's trying to do is he's trying to animate corpses using psionic power. But to do that, he has to make sure that the spirit doesn't go back in the body and it becomes like an undead zombie skeleton or with all that negative energy, right? So he has to, but he has to give it enough of a spark of life. So he supposedly found a way, or was close to finding a way to animate this. So these guys figured, well, if he could somehow separate spirit from the body, maybe we could use this on the woman god and blah, blah, blah. But they decide to kill him instead because he's an evil guy. So they get his journal. But psionicists don't write by hand. So his journal are a bunch of memory crystals. So they had to find a psionicist to read the memory crystals. And this guy's asked him a favor. And one thing led to another. So now they're all the way in Scant.
Oh my gosh.
Just a chain of events. Yeah,
All
it's
here.
ridiculous. Now we're in Scant.
Yeah.
We're very close to being too far in the east, where which is evil Irdians are in.
So how often does this group get together?
This is once every 2 weeks. We play, this one is 4 hours on Monday nights, every 2 weeks.
Oh, cool.
The Wings of the Phoenix is once a month, 8 hours on Saturday.
I was going to say there's no way I could hang out for 8 hours.
No. Well, Gary, when he first played, said there's no way he could play for 8 hours straight. And he loved it. He's like, wow, the time just flew. Just,
Wow.
yeah. He was surprised at how quickly it flew.
That's interesting. So just to show you that there is maps as bad as my Altamira map. I'm saying that I'm saying that in a loving
Right.
way, Rich, of course. This is Nara's band, right?
Right. So now I'll give you a story of this. So this is basically telling people who are not good at drawing,
Yes.
you still just do something good enough for the players. You don't have to be a good draftsman like Anna. As long as it gets the job done, you're happy. So there's a story behind this map. So I wrote a history. So Nara's band, like I said, is Nara's band the Ancient. It was started at the Sul Empire when it was right before it fell, like 1,000 years ago. So when the Sul ended up, Nara's band, number one up there, was an Olman city. So it's known as the Old City. So the Olman had a city here at the small inlet to a lake, like an enclosed harbor with a river and whatnot on that Olman island. And so they built a small city there. The Sul came there, but these Olman worshipped Kukulkan, who's a good god, one of the few good Olman god.
Yeah.
And so they decided, well, we'll ally with these guys instead of conquering them. And because we just want a shipbuilding repair facility in the north while we kick the shit out of the Olman in Monoland. So they were not interested in having a permanent colony. They just wanted a nice shipbuilding colony and enough to guard the gates. So they figured, okay, these Olman are very good shipbuilders as well. So we could have them hired and they could prepare and we could work together and blah, blah, blah. So they built, if you go back to the map there, Jay. Sorry, okay, I'm on Twitch here. Let me just zoom in on
No
that.
problem.
So, okay, so 5 and 5, you see 5 bottom left. So what the Sul said is we will set up shipbuilding on the other side of the river. You get the east side, we get the other, or you get the north side, we get the south, right? And so they built the wall around number 5, and they said the first number 5, the top one, and they said that's our shipbuilding. You guys get north, we're all happy. Then the empire fell, and now they're like, uh-oh, like we're all alone over here. So they start to expand the city. So the second 5 was built.
Looks like we're staying.
Yeah, it looks like we're safe.
So
So the second 5 was built, and then they expanded it again, and then they again and again and again. And number 9 in the top left is called the Radiant Quarter because they encountered the Iridians. And they said, oh, trade, money, lots of this. So they built a whole bunch of rich manors there with all the trade coming from the North Kingdom to Narasban.
oh, interesting.
And they created a quarter for the rich people to set up. And there's a big church of Pelor there. And that's why they call it the Radiant Quarter.
Radiant.
Pelor has a big dome made
I
of,
thought I was going to say Fultus people first. At first. That's what I thought.
No.
so they have the big sun that glints off of it. It's right off the water and whatnot. So there's a history behind each of these areas. and the walls were slowly. So I wrote. There's a gazetteer now in Narrowspan that I'm writing that I can't put out because my players are still in there.
Yep.
When the campaign is done, I'll put the gazetteer out. It's up to like 20 something pages. Talking about the different walls and what they're called and how the history came about and the trade and all this in that area and the puppets.
So, do the Sul here hate the Scarlet Brotherhood?
So this is interesting. So the Scarlet Brotherhood has an embassy here, but Narrowspan was there before
Right.
the Kingdom of Shar existed. So they view the Kingdom of Shar as upstarts to a certain extent. But they can't just mock them because the Scarlet Brotherhood is more powerful. But Narrowspan has very powerful mages, Sul mages. And so there's this uneasy piece. So it's called the Free City. So if you look at the heraldry that Anna made, that shield.
Ah, that's not your Narrowspan. Okay.
Narrowspan.
I thought it may have been the adventuring group. All right, there you go.
So it's, see the white hand means it's a free port.
Okay.
Okay. Which means it doesn't hold allegiance. Anybody could dock there as long as you pay the fees and whatnot. That being said, the Kingdom of Shar does interfere with other ships coming into this area. So Narrowspan has a lot of factions. It has some buccaneers who are there, which are pirates who work out of Narrowspan. So they fly the flag so they can, it's a free port, and then they lower the flag when they go and raid people and they come back and they sell their goods here. Slavery is legal in Narrowspan, but some people don't like it. So you know what I mean? So there's a lot of factions going on in there. There's dozens of different factions in Narrowspan. So there's a lot of faction intrigue that the players are encountering.
So, is the Scarlet or the Red Fleet part of your game now from Savage Tide at all? Are they south, or you haven't incorporated that in?
They are. So
Okay.
they're around.
Okay.
And the players don't like them much, but they're quite powerful, right? They do have ships. They always, so the Scarlet Brotherhood always has one ship docked in Narrowspan
Okay.
at all times.
Just to remind you.
Just as a reminder that don't get too uppity. We're here. You know what I mean?
That's really cool.
Yeah. So they've gone south. So if you go south of this, you're gonna like this, Anna.
I gotta go so far
So-
south. Yeah.
Yeah.
Smart.
So there's a big island there, not the pirate, just to the right of the pirate island. No, okay, so down, where is it? Where's that island that's off the,
It's because Jay is using an old
I'm
version
using
of the
yeah, I
map.
don't have that big map, so
Okay.
I'm on the way down to
Yeah.
Isle of Dread.
so there's an island that's on the original folio.
Yeah,
that has
it's
the
on the
number-
newest version of the
Oh,
map,
the
so,
one that's
yeah.
on Mike's map, but it's not.
Yes,
Okay,
it's-
Mike's
yeah,
map.
It's on the
one.
folio, right?
Right.
So if you
Hang
read,
on a second, I can link to a map
Yeah.
that has it. So yeah.
The big island.
if you read my latest Omnipotent View in the Orth Journal, it talks about the island kingdom of Tullanzar. I believe it does. Oh
Okay.
shit! No, that one hasn't come out yet. It will. There's gonna be an article on this, and I talk about that island, and it's really cool.
Oh.
Nice.
So the players have gone down there to that island.
So, all right. So you actually, and no one, there's no noting of it anywhere. So that doesn't, that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. You actually have Sul that were way far away from the Evoked Devastation when it happened.
Well, if you go down south to the bottom of the Sea of Dust. All right.
Right.
Now, in my history of the Sul, and if you read, this isn't the Earth Journal, this I know. There's the last Earth Journal, I talk about Zir Sul, and it's it's called Zerbo's access to the sea by the Sul.
It's got to be down here somewhere, right?
It's actually the port city right there at the bottom, okay? It's not there on the map, but it would be down.
So down like here.
Yeah, somewhere thereabouts.
Okay.
Well, what happened was the Sul have four. They have a lot of water gods, right? Osprey, Zerbo, Aquamon, if you go that way, which means they would have been, water and trade would have been important for them, especially Zerbo is god of water and trade.
Yeah.
So
Right.
by that, I say they must have access to southern seas.
Because everything else is landlocked.
Everything was landlocked. So they would have gone down there. They would have had, maybe lakes in their empire and a big river going down south, and they would have traded. And if they were trading, they were colonizing. So they were colonizing off to the east.
Okay.
And they were colonizing, and now the Olmen gods are quite savage. So some are good, but most are evil. So the Sul were colonizing, and every once in a while they would trade with the Olmen, and everything would go right. But then they come across one of their crazy gods, and decide to start sacrificing a bunch of Sul. And so the Sul finally got frustrated, so they sent the legacy fleet off to teach the Olmen a lesson. So they went around from the south. So if you really want to go heretic, I postulate that the barbarians, the north, were part of a fleet that the Sul had sent around to fight against the Olmen and retreated up the east coast and settled along the east coast up there. The frost, snow, and ice barbarians are not part of the houses of pursuit that went across the whole land. They were actually seafarers who came by sea to colonize that area.
Well, when you think about in real life now, Rich, there's all theories that the Clovis came from Europe across, little canoes, and they were on the ice that was there, and you just don't know. So it's very possible that's what happened, and they're pre-invoked devastation then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, that's a story of like my years, like 30 something years of campaign.
We all go there. We all go and take our Greyhawk, and we just do. I mean, we've all done it. Which is there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely.
What I'm having a trouble grasping here is, so you've named about 10 campaigns, right?
Yeah.
But each of these campaigns are taking like 3 years.
Yes,
right?
3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I start the storyline and ended. But the Buccaneers, we should end in about 3 years after we start.
So most of your players have 10 characters, 10 to 12?
No, because I have a rotating cast, right? So like Mark and Paul, who I'm playing with the Buccaneers now, played with maybe in 4 of the earlier campaigns, and then they took a few years off to raise their family. So then new players joined. So Andre, who just came back for the guy who plays Hapu, who's in the Wings of the Phoenix, he was in the first 3 campaigns, and then he moved to California, and he just came back 7 campaigns later to play again.
So, okay.
Has there ever been any crossover?
That's what I was just going to ask. Good one, Mike. Between
the characters, you mean?
Yeah.
So yes,
or any of the storylines or whatever.
So not yet, because what happens is I jump around in time. So I pick the most interesting time for a given story.
She may go
So
back in time.
Yeah, so like Joff, I put it right after the fall, right? So I put it before Joff was freed, so in the 580s. Border Watch ended in 598 after all the campaigns, because they freed the North and they did this, and then they went down to the Sea of Dust and whatnot. The Buccaneers, I brought it back to 90. Was it 91? I brought it back. No, Buccaneers is 86. 586.
Yeah.
Wings of the Phoenix is 591, because I wanted everything to be settled. So I wanted Radagast City after Livy Greyhawk. The LGG was written. So I've kind of jumped around in time, but it's always in that rough area between 580 and 591.
So it's a good way to do it. And subliminally, a lot of people just restart. And what you did was you didn't restart. It's still the same setting, but you just like, you know what? This happened 5 years earlier, and it's not going to affect anything because the groups aren't crossing. Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah, I think it's a different geographical area. The nice thing about Greyhawk is there's all these different geographical areas that you could run campaign after campaign after campaign and not have them cross. Now, at one point you can make them cross if when you run enough of them. Like at one point, I'm sure that my timelines are going to start to merge, and I'll start messing around just for fun, right? I'll say, "Oh, you heard about this happening up north, right?" Because it's roughly the same timeline that the character. And then if the player was in that campaign 15 years ago, me bringing it up, it'll give them a little thrill, right? Oh yeah, that was my guys, right? That was my old player who did that, or my old character who did that.
So the Radagast City one is still going on too.
Yeah, so I got Radagast and
That's-
and
okay.
That's the Wings of the Phoenix. So in Radagast, I gave the guys the choice. I said, "Did you want to be mercenaries or scavengers?" And they decided to become scavengers. So I think they've had a more polite term for it. I think it was reclaimers or something. So they basically wanted their job is to basically go into old tombs and whatnot, or and recover stuff for the. So they did not want to be mercenaries to go around killing people and hired guns, right? They want to do more of this adventuring thing. So it's okay. And I said, "What do you want to call yourselves?" So they said, "Well, we'll call ourselves Wings of the Phoenix." So I'm like,
Always
"All right."
need to have a name. Every group
Yep,
has to
all
say.
that. So they call themselves Wings of the Phoenix, and off went.
Okay. What is the time frame you're looking at for both those? Couple
Yeah,
of
that's
years.
like I said. So the Buccaneers is 586, and
No,
Wings of
how many more
580.
years you want to play those groups?
Oh, so I'll go as long as the players want.
Okay.
Usually 3 to 4 years. At that point, they get bored. They're like, "Okay, we played the same character for a while. They're quite powerful." In D&D terms, I'd say roughly when they hit 15th, 16th level, the players typically have had enough.
Okay.
It's usually the retirement time.
It's interesting. So I see the way you've done it's different from mine. My guys get bored, and we say we're going to start a new group in the timeline frame. The other groups are still going, but we're going to add another group, and that's the bouncing around deal. So we bounce between existing groups. You stay in a group until you end. Okay. That's
Yeah,
cool.
and then I write those booklets right at the end.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty neat, man. That's really awesome.
And then another thing I do, which is something for the the people who are listening on the stream that they could do, is I do one shots. So I do what's called the super game once a year
Yeah,
around
it's
Christmas.
really nice.
So in the super game, I invite every player who's ever played in my campaign to this thing.
Oh, nice.
So I invite dozens of players, whoever could come, and it's between Christmas and New Year's when we're not working. And I pick one day, and it runs from like 11 in the morning till 2 in the morning type of thing, like 14 hours, whatever it takes to do it. And it's a one shot, and it's whatever goes. So it's not linked to the campaign at all. So I'll come up with crazy ideas, and I'll say, "Let's have fun with this." So like at one point I told them you got to play. You can play any creature from the Monsters Manual, anyone you want, and depending on the power level, I give you more or less points by ranks and weapons and spells and whatnot, or you just take it straight out of the Monster Manual, and off we went. So they played monsters once, or they played something else, so every year I do these super games, and we see where it
8
goes.
hours?
No,
No.
from 11 till 2 in the morning. So you're looking at 14 hours.
Oh, the good old days.
Yeah,
High school days. We're gonna play the whole weekend, right?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So it's a blast. The guys have a lot of fun.
How's the most number of players you've had in one of those?
10,
Okay. Nice.
and it was in person, so that's a lot of fun. So when we used to do it in person, you have everybody over, so and since we're all friends, we make a big deal of it. So it'd be potluck, right? Everybody bring food, and we'd always have more food than we need. I remember one time we decided to make ribs, and so one of my friends is an excellent chef. So we threw money at him, and he went to Costco and he bought ribs, like a lot of ribs, and he let them. He had 2 ovens, and he went 24 hours of them slow cooking, and he made dry rub ribs, wet ribs. He made all sorts of ribs, and he brought them over, and it was a huge amount of ribs. And all we did the whole day was eat ribs, potatoes, and all like fatties. We got the meat sweats. You ever get the meat sweats?
Oh yeah. If I go to Chow once.
Yeah. So basically, by 2 in the morning, we all got meat. And
Yeah.
some people, and basically, what I'd say is, and I make sure that there was nobody home in my house. So I do that. No kids, no wife, nothing. And so when I have the super game, and so whoever wants to sleep over is welcome, right? So people grab couches or floors or whatever else, and would pass out of my house and wake up the next day and,
Right.
the drink or go home or whatever we wanted to do the next day. Yeah. Now it's a little bit different because some of my players are online, so I can't always do that, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, when we get older and stuff, I mean, things change like that. And but wow, okay, so the compilation of you got a long. It feels good, doesn't it? When you look back and you're like, my gosh, 30 years of 30
Oh, yeah.
plus years. It's something to be proud of. It really is.
Yeah.
Hey, El Navel. So I. This we didn't even touch on. Rich, when I'm going to ask this, I play 1E, 2E. Anna plays 5th right now. Mike bounces around, usually plays 5th. Well, here we go. Are you ready for this question? What edition do you play in, Rich?
Yeah, I don't play an edition. I build my own rule system.
Custom.
Custom from scratch. So back in the late 80s, I got frustrated with 1st and 2nd edition. I like kind of where they're going 2nd edition with those skills, but it just wasn't far enough. So I decided to build a complete skill-based system from scratch.
Right.
So that's what I did. So I built the whole game system from scratch. And it's been improved. So what happens is every time we play, my players will make a recommendation. So okay, no problem. Since it's all in Word, right? So like
You listen to your players. That's an important thing. You're making tweaks and changes as they ask.
Yeah,
Correct?
I mean, you look at your system, right? You have 2.J, right? You wrote what, a dozen binders of custom rules.
Right.
So for all intents and purposes, you rewrote the whole system, right?
It's a living game system.
It is. It's living and breathing.
Oh, yeah.
Changes constantly. Yeah.
That's what I do too. Yeah.
So instead of writing patches over patches over patches over 1st edition, I said, hell with it. I got I got a keyboard and I have a hard drive. I'm gonna just build it from scratch. And that's what I did.
Because you said the word wit and in the chat, and I guess that means that wit's intelligence, or is that a combination of intelligence and wisdom?
No, it's intelligence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amy says, Rich's system is a bit of a learning curve, and I still don't understand everything about how things work in it, but it is a lot of fun to play. Well, that's good. That's good. So,
The bell curve.
well, yeah, it's the same thing. I get that fear from a new player on a Saturday night special. Like, oh my God, I've never played 1E2 before. So I'll walk you through it. You don't have to worry in a one shot.
Yeah.
So it's a little different.
Like Dale, Amy, and Mike have picked it up very quick. I mean, it's a very, I tried to, I simplified it. So,
So he's a bard, druid, water mage, Dale says.
Yeah.
So you got multi-classing then, obviously. Is it 3rd edition multi-classing style or 1E, 2E multi-classing style?
It's a
skill-based.
Skill-based, got it.
There is no class.
So it's like Pathfinder 2.
Yes, no class. Pathfinder 2 has classes. Yeah.
It's almost like GURPS. Like there's like
But I like you, Rich.
class.
Yeah, I'm going classless too. Yep.
So basically,
There's professions.
yeah. So basically, Mike decides, he goes, I'm going to get some rangers. So he bought some ranks in ranger. Then he says, I'm going to be really good with my sword. He bought ranks in sword.
Well, then so you have classes in some sense, but not in the traditional
no,
sense.
no. The ranger is a profession, right? It has a certain.
But like I have herbalist, cook,
Okay.
sailor,
right. Skills.
I have a lot of professions. Just some I'm better at than others.
Yeah, and you get to choose, right? So what happens at the end of every session, I give you a certain amount of points, and you get to decide in which skill you put points in. I want to put points in climbing, or I want to put points, and you can buy your spells.
That's the same idea I have.
Yeah.
And,
but I'm just using it. I'm using 5e mechanics and rounds and all that, but I'm cutting out the class bit.
Yeah. And the thing in my system also is you buy your spells just like a class. So just like
okay.
Oh, I want to buy fireball. And I want to get extra ranks in fireball. So you buy a fireball. I don't want levitate. I won't get that. I won't get that spell. I'll get this spell, and you become better and better with your different spells. Okay. So, for example, like that's why this whole specialty priests, I've had it from the beginning. So every single god, I give it certain spheres. I say, this is your god. These are the spells you're allowed to take, and that's it. And then you buy the ones you want. So this whole specialty priest concept I've had from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
Rich is, Gary, it's our first show of this, so we're learning as we go, right? So, how many people?
I'm laughing at Pat 66 in chat.
Yeah, I
Awesome,
saw
thank
that.
you.
How many people total, Rich, have touched your game, have played? Anyway, it doesn't. I guess 20, 30.
Over 50.
That's great.
Yeah, over 50 different people have played.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
excellent. How about what campaign highlight? Something that happened in any of them, or like, I know you've gone over a couple, but like,
Okay, one fun thing.
Yep.
So I don't know if you remember, do you ever have those little rubber, those plastic miniatures from D&D, the plastic miniatures?
Yeah.
Okay, you know Snig the Axe?
I have Snig.
You have Snig, right?
Yeah.
Snig became a villain in my game.
Little goblin.
It was a goblin. Again, okay, Hope's Beacon. So they were in Furyandi, and Snig the Axe, in one of the first sessions, he killed a friend of theirs, and then he left, right? And he ignored him. He killed this guy and just left. So they're like, we don't like this Snig guy. And Snig came back a few times, and he kept doing mean things, right? And I boosted Snig. I mean, this was a goblin from hell, right? I boosted,
Sure.
right? And so
Memorable.
they're scared of Snig, but he kept coming back every once in a while. He was riding a dire wolf and everything else. It was a goblin and a dire wolf, and he killed this very powerful elven warrior who was defending a village. And so that they really had been, this was an NPC that they had interacted with for a year in real time, right? And so he kills him. So in the finale, when they were heading towards the dragon's lair, they came across Snig. And I went complete Thunderdome on this encounter. So there's Snig, his minions, and in behind them were 4 goblins in cages. And the goblins had musical instruments, like drums and stuff. And they were beating away on these drums. And they're on these cages in the back, like in the stone wall, right? And you can see through the cages, and there's another one behind. And they're on these cages, and they're beating away on drums. And then the fight's going, a complete Thunderdome. And then basically the portcullis closes behind the players, and they're trapped in there with Snig and his minions. And there's this mega fight against Snig, and the drums are beating and whatnot. And then as Snig goes down, he activates a trap, and lava starts pouring from the other room over the drummers, burning the goblins in the cages to death, as the lava is flooding the room with the players in there. Snig's basic last. So that was, the guys had a blast with that. I had the fun. I had AC/DC going in the background, Thunderstruck, and
So you have, the recurring antithesis is always a good thing, and you had the miniature, and you're like, well, I have the miniature now. I can bring that character back. I understand that completely.
so there's that. Then there's Bradis the Bard. They hated Bradis, so I made an evil bard, and Bradis had the ability to bard. Right, he can convince people to do stuff. And Bradis was an agent of Ayu's in Northern Furyandi. And he would manipulate the rulers to do bad ideas, right? And so the players kept trying to counteract him, but they couldn't kill him because he'd be like, the noble's like, well, Bradis is my friend. He's dating my daughter. What do you mean? He hasn't done anything wrong. You can't attack him. And Bradis would give seemingly good advice, right? Like, well, Ayus is probably going to attack from the east because that's where his forces seem to be amassed. I suggest you send your troops eastwards. And the player's like, no, it's a trick. You can't listen to him. And the noble's like, well, I sent my scouts on. The scouts came back. There are indeed orcs there and whatnot. And there's no orcs to the west. What do you mean? Right? And Bradis is like, yeah. And Bradis would twist. They'd say, well, maybe these characters are coming in here that you don't know from a hole in the wall. Maybe they're the Ayusian spies trying to trick you. Why would you listen to them instead of me? I mean, I'm dating your daughter. And so they're like, and so they hated this guy. And he just kept escaping like over and over again, because while they were running around, he'd just sneak away, right? And leave a mess behind them. And so, yeah, so these are the kind of NPCs that you got to have a few of them.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You got to have the hated, and um, you, they may not necessarily be the main antithesis, but they're the thorn in the side.
Yeah.
That you know, just and you know, you lose your cool in town. Could be it. That's it. That's funny, Gary. You caught me right ahead of time. Anna, you've been quiet. You gotta
Oh
have
yeah,
a
I'm just
question for
listening and
Rich.
enjoying this. This is
Right.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
mhm.
So you want to ask Rich something? I've been asking
Well,
most of my.
I'm kind of a little bit interesting in the kind of play style, meaning and the dimensions that. No, think about it. Meaning the rules. Meaning you made your own rule system, but are the rules very essential? Is it a very crunchy game when you run it, or are the stories and interaction and stuff more important than the rules, so to
So,
speak?
okay, so what I did when I wrote my rule system was I wanted it to I wanted the rules to support a Greyhawk feel. So
Mhm.
Greyhawk it's a very dangerous world,
Yeah.
but it also has the ability to have high magic. But it also very grimy to a certain extent, right? The peasants are peasants and that's it. And most people don't excel beyond that. So I want to give that feel. So my rule system fits that. And like Mike says, right? So the thing about my rule system is you can have a very high level NPC. So you can have somebody who's very high level armorer, weaponsmith, and whatnot. So he's got a lot of points, all in these skills.
Mhm.
But because it's a skill-based system, and my hit points don't change, by the way. You start off your character with X amount of hit points, and you die with those same hit points. 15 levels later, you don't gain hit points with levels.
Yeah.
So the blacksmith will have the same hit points as a hero to a certain extent, but he might have a lot of ranks and everything, so he might have more points, but he can't fight. He has no ranks in weapons. So he never took any training in weapons or anything like this.
Do you use like this armor class and to hit, or do you use
No,
like
so
armor absorb damage
I
and
use
stuff?
armor
So,
as absorption.
so better armor and stuff. That way you last longer in combat. So
And I
to
use
speak.
shields for defense.
Mhm.
It's percentile based also.
So,
Okay.
well, yeah, Gary, you can improve your constitution, which improves your hit points. That's true. But
Yeah, but things don't inflate because you level up.
yeah, that's right. You'd have
Yeah.
to. So what happens is as your character becomes more powerful, he gets points to put on his stats to boost his stats a little bit, which gives him a little. So the guy might decide, look, I don't want to put anything in con. I want to boost my wit because I want to be better with my sage skills.
Yeah.
So he won't get more hit points, right? Whereas
Yeah.
a fighter, like Mike's character is a fighter, he's going to put it into the strength or to con, right? So to boost his.
So in a way, that is kind of interesting because that means that you can take high level heroes and character stuff can still be taken prisoners and stuff because someone
Oh,
can
yeah.
threaten to kill them even when they're high level, so they're not impervious or invulnerable superheroes, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you have if a high character is sitting in a bar drinking and he doesn't have his armor on, he doesn't have his shield.
Yeah.
He comes with the crossbow and says, "You're coming with me." And I have criticals. I have critical hits.
Yeah.
Right, which
Those are really cool dynamics that I think adds a lot to cool storytelling. The problem is that they work both ways.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sometimes you want them and sometimes you don't want them, so to speak, because it's like I would love to have a system that has that feel that if someone is really close and they have you, then they should be able to have a one-shot kill, period. So almost anything, but it should be hard to get to that point when you're in a big fight, so to speak. So that will be my dream thing will be to, if you have like a close zone, that when you get to a critical or an area, like you can do coup de grace and stuff like that, there should be something when you're up and close to the enemy and you have them by the balls, so to speak, then you should be able to dole out that deadly damage right away. And like if you take someone at the bar and you find them and they don't have armor and they're not
that's
prepped,
exactly that's what my system has. So there's a big swing between an unarmored, unbuffed character and a fully armored and buffed character. Like it's a huge difference. So you know, if you want to go up against the dragons and whatnot, you need to be buffed and ready and have this.
Do monsters have that? Can they be vulnerable the same way if you find
exactly
them sleeping in a lair? So that then they're not that difficult to kill, so to speak.
Well, the
even a
difference
dragon.
is monsters, like the constitution is based on the size of the creature. So the bigger it is, the more hit points it has.
Oh, so really big beefy monsters will still be bags of hit points.
That's right, because they're big, right? You got to whack them. But the problem is, in my system is when I got like quicklings and whatnot, they don't have a lot of hit points. So
Yeah.
they're like the glass cannons, right? I'm like, please don't hit my quickling.
Right.
One stroke and my poor quickling's gone, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But those are interesting aspects that I think get lost in regular D&D that I think would be
Yes.
cool to have there, because they will facilitate more interesting stories that a lot of people want to tell those stories, and they seem to pop up, but they're not facilitated by gameplay. So yeah, that's on. Eventually, I would love to get there. I want to have like a coup de grace possibility if you take someone. If you have someone in a vulnerable position, you should be able to do immediate damage, like cut the con down or whatever, so to speak, and just but the problem is that it works both ways. You will start losing characters quite heavily at times, but on the other hand, then the players have to make sure they don't end up in a bad spot. So it is, it is kind of,
So,
for story ways, that's really cool.
Yeah,
Any
so-
other mechanics you've changed and tweaked quite a bit from regular D&D?
oh my God, yeah, I use a spell point system. So you have a bunch of spells. It's very much almost like the champion system. You know a bunch of spells, and you get X amount of points a day. And you
Yeah,
can
so the
cast-
Vancian is gone, and
You just cast any of those spells, but you don't memorize your spells every day, right? It's whatever spells you got points in, because you train, and that's it. That's all you got. So you get to choose
wizards don't read and memorize from spell books. So
No.
Okay. Yeah.
They basically you spend your points just like a fighter would spend points in swimming, climbing, sword, or bow. A wizard says, I want to have levitate, I want to have a magic missile, I want to have an enlarged spell. And those are his spells, and he increases ranks in them, and he can cast them at will until he runs out of points.
Okay. Yeah. But you still have divine and arcane magic, or that difference?
I have 8 different spell orders.
Okay, cool.
So I do have priest as one. I have priest. So I have all the 4 elementals: air, earth, water, fire, druid, priest, shadow magics, summoning, which they just summon creatures. It's a lot of fun. Rune magics, wizard, and illusions.
Okay. No necromancer.
No, the priest covers most of that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those things in Greyhawk. I think the gods want to control necromancy, so I made my system do that.
Yeah. I have necromancers, but they are limited. They can't heal or any of that, so to speak. That's only divine magic they can do that. So they're clerics, but there are arcane necromancers, and they can still animate undeads, and they can do nasty stuff. But they are usually fiendish related or something, and they tweak it. But they are more nerfed. The really nasty ones are the divine necromantic casters of like death priests and stuff like that, neural priests and stuff. They have access to the really nasty necromancer, but they can't heal. The evils can't heal. So Iusian priests and stuff, they simply sacrifice characters and animals, whatever, to take the life force, because they can actually steal a life force, but they can't create it. Only the good guys can, so to speak. So because that's like inherently good to generate life, and for the god to sacrifice his or her own power to give to their priests to heal with. And the evils, they simply don't do that. It's not in their vocabulary. So they might be, some evil gods might be able to heal themselves, but they can't give it, because then that's a good thing to do, to give life force to someone else that is inherently good.
A couple questions from the audience.
All right, shoot.
Deldorath has a big plot twist that you couldn't complete because the players went in an unexpected direction.
Not really. I'll be honest. Like I like to have my story run by the players, so I set things up. If the bad guy gets killed, the bad guy gets killed, and I react to where it goes. But if the bad guy survives, then the story goes a different way, right?
Okay.
Like my Buccaneers, they fought against these Yuan Ti, and this one Yuan Ti, they got a crit on him, but they didn't finish him off, and he dragged his way away, and has been making their life living hell since. His name is Juan the Yuan Ti.
I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah. So he keeps coming back. So
I love that part of it too.
He burnt their ship down. he targeted for pirates, so basically pirates where they were located, and just to make their life a little living hell every once in a while.
He
And
likes to
sometimes
call
you-
Mr. T.
Sometimes you need to be set straight there. Let the bad guys sometimes win. Where's Longetalos come from? Origins.
So EverQuest was my character name in
Ah.
EverQuest.
Okay.
Yeah.
The EverQuest. Is that the
Way
days
back
where you
when.
could train 100 of the creatures on someone running? Right.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. Heard those stories.
Back when we were allowed to play 48 hours straight on the computer and not have your girlfriend, kids, or
Out
dog
of the house.
begging for your attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those days will come again.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. That's Fantasy Island there, Anna.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't want to go those days too, because sitting around.
48 hours a bit too
Speak for
much.
yourself. I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Well, I got my one friend. Everyone knows sitting there 48 hours in his underwear, drinking Mountain Dew and smoking cigarettes for 48 straight hours, and not leaving.
The underwear and the cigarettes would
Yeah,
not be.
there you
Sorry?
go.
No,
and
I've never done that
That's
part,
that dude right there, the no just no guy. Yep, playing
Well,
EverQuest or
What we
Ultima
used to do
Online.
though, my friend worked for a computer store and he knew the owner. The owner obviously was good. And so they would let us have access to the computer store on the weekend. So Friday night we would go and we'd have it all set up in the LAN system.
Yes.
In one room. And
Those were the late 90s.
Diablo on the LAN
yeah.
system was
that's
the
right.
best.
So we play
Yep.
EverQuest there and everything.
We
So you
did
play 48
that
hours
too.
with your buddies, right? So you'd order pizza and joke around while you're playing. So
Man, how did any of us get girlfriends?
those Russian brides are excellent. I love those.
Oh, it means the one that scam you for money.
Oh
Those are-
my gosh! All right, so I'm gonna bring some things up here. So, Rich, let's talk about some of your contributions to the community. Why don't we do that here?
Sure.
So we got some good stuff here. Let me,
So this is the thing again for the GMs out there is
yep,
when you're running a campaign, you make these tools, and what I've done is I've actually shared them with everybody else, right? I built them mostly for myself, and then I shared them. So this one up here is it was population demographics. I wanted to get an idea of how packed or dense the different countries were. Because, for example, I want to know, is D&D a points of light? Is Korea a points of light place? Is it a, medieval France where you stumble over hamlets every 2 minutes when you walk around? So I built this thing with all the LGG numbers. But then I also, if you scroll left, I came up with some different methods.
Yeah.
Where you would, you enter the population density you think it is, and all stuff like this, and it calculates how many people should be based on the area of the different countries.
Now, is this total population or human?
This is total.
Human, demi-human. Okay, got it.
Straight out of the LGG, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, can you scroll left on that one?
Yeah, the problem is that I probably.
There's others, yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
what the if people want these Excel sheets, just let me or you, Jay, know.
Yep.
So if you go to the top, you'll see what I've done here is I create two methods. You can either you could type in the stability of the country and all these numbers, and it tells you based on all this, your factor would be about this, right? The density of that country would be this. For example, a stable country that hasn't been in a lot of wars would have a much higher population than Port Almore, which gets conquered all the time, right? So
It's on a 1 to 5 scale.
Yeah, 1 to 5 scale, and you put the numbers in, and then automatically pumps out a number and says, okay, based on that number, this is what the density should be. That's how many people it should be. And then the second one is I said, you just enter what percentage of the area you want to be populated based on a gut feeling. And it calculates based on the fact that a peasant is 8 acres per person per day, per year of harvest and blah, blah. So this is how many acres, this is how many people you should have based on that factor.
How close are these?
Well, you can see on the right, it gives you percentages. It's not bad. It's not bad. That's for shits and giggles. I did this mostly to bother Gary, because Gary does numbers. He drives us nuts.
Yeah, it's like brain overload. And then you have I put up the second one too that you gave me. This is the territory generator.
Yeah, so this is a bunch of little tabs at the bottom.
Okay.
So this calculates the biggest cities. This is the finances. So if you want a manor, your income and how much it costs to run stuff. If you scroll left on this, this is a random.
So which one, the fiefdom generator or the?
Fiefdom generator.
Yeah. Oh, I can scroll left. I didn't realize I can scroll any further left.
No, sorry, not this one. The other one, the settlement generator.
Settlement generator. Got it. Oh, there you go.
Left.
Okay.
So this actually, if you scroll down, if you roll it, it tells you randomly based on the population.
Right.
If you go down, it tells you the size, so how much it sprawls, the number of priests, mages, armors, craftsmen, and all the different kinds of craftsmen, number of shrines.
Gosh.
Yeah, so with one click, you can say, okay, generate me a city, a small town, and it generates the number of people from the different how many beekeepers.
Len Lakofka would love this.
He would
I
have.
would say that you're the inheritor of the Excel
Wow.
mastery when it comes to Greyhawk.
Yeah. Now the
Yeah.
reason I did that was because I would, quickly want to run. So my players would wander around. They say, "Oh, we're going to this village. Rich, can I buy something from a blacksmith?" I'm like, I don't know if there's a bloody blacksmith in that village. So I quickly grab this. It's a small village. I just randomly hit a button. This is I say, there's no blacksmith. There's a carpenter. There's a beekeeper, and there's a shepherd. Type of thing. That's all you got. Type of thing.
Yeah.
So that's what that Excel sheet does.
That's pretty neat. And you can go
Fantastic.
hamlet, town, large, and it just changes automatically.
Yeah, and if you pick the race, it changes because each race has a different factor. So instead of human, if you pull down for elves or halflings and whatnot, at the top you could. Yeah,
Okay.
it'll change
Oh,
things.
there, right there.
Yeah.
Halfling. Okay.
And one other that you shared with me that I is
Neat.
really awesome. You can calculate how many much prey animals you need in
Oh,
an
you like that
area
one?
in order to have predators. For me, I love nature in the real world, so I'm very invested in nature in Greyhawk, and I
Yeah.
want to make different monsters. That one was like, yes, now I know that I need enormous amount of cattle and
Yeah.
deer and whatever to feed one poor dragon and
Yeah.
stuff, and it's like, yeah, so you realize that you can't put that many big predatory monsters in an area because they can't be fed by your adventurers alone, because then there would be no adventurers in the area, or so these kind of checks and balances, and then you can always kind of explain away a few things with fantasy stuff. And Rich, please indulge us on your metabolism of giants, because we discussed that one night. And I have similar ideas, but please go ahead and show you, because I think thinking like you did, it's brilliant. So please indulge us.
For against the giants, for my characters, I had to come up with a history. I said, okay, I need a history for this because I wanted to put clues and whatnot and history.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of fun, right? Not just against the giant where you go from setting to setting and conquer stuff. So what I said is, okay, what's the lore of these giants? So I said the giants were the first humanoids after the reptiles, the dragons. So the dragons were around, and then the giants show up. And the giants and dragons go to war. And the giants are losing because giants are not as good as dragons. So they go to their gods and they say, look, we need some help. So the gods help them out. And bit by bit, they get certain benefits. So, for example, the storm giants get the ability to control storms and all this. The cloud giants get the ability to forge stuff, magical weapons. The frost giants get certain benefits. So it goes down. So all the giants got these benefits. And so there's this eternal war between giants and dragons and whatnot. But then I said, I put a little math. I said, well, a frost giant who lives up in the mountains in ice, what does he eat, right? He might eat the reindeer, caribou, this and that, but he's never going to be running around chasing a caribou and getting enough food to feed him. Right?
Exactly, meaning that size animal with real world metabolism,
it wouldn't work.
Exactly.
I said there must be some magic in there. So I said, okay, so how would I explain this to make it cool and fun? And what I said is, okay, giants only need to feed when they want to reproduce or grow. But once a giant hits full size, he only needs to eat a little bit just for taste, or just to keep, a little bit of metabolism going, but the rest is all magic. So what happened is when the giants invaded Joff, the reason why they went down there is to get food. They didn't care about the riches. It's nice, but they went down to get humans and cows and whatnot to basically take it back to their steadings, eat them, so that the giantesses had enough meat in them so they could start having babies.
Mm-hmm.
So the neat thing about this is when this came out to the players, now my players are freaking out because they're going, even if we kick them out of Joff, all these giantess who are up in the mountains are reproducing because they've taken all that food and they're going up. So it's the biggest reproduction cycle of the giants in centuries because all this food they pulled out of Joff, they're making all these babies. So in about 40 years from now, there's
You will
gonna
have
be
a new
twice as many.
invasion. Yeah.
There's gonna be twice as many giants up in the mountains than there was before the invasion. So that's kind of how that came about. So just by saying that now, so basically, if you read the steadings and the frost giant and it says the players go there to get information, but nowhere in there is there what kind of information they find.
True.
So what I did, if you actually go on Canada Fire, I actually put some letters that they found. I wrote some up for fun, so they're up there if you guys ever want them. They're on Canada Fire, like clues and whatnot and rumors and whatnot. And one of them is this whole history, this whole explanation of how, hey, with all this food, finally our giants can start reproducing. So then the players started investigating. They're like, and then when they found this out, they're, oh my God, this is not good, right? So that made that took the campaign a little bit of a twist, right? Put a little fear in the players at that point.
Definitely.
Yeah. But it makes sense, right? It holds together. I want to, it
Have
holds
you
together.
done the same thing with dragons? Do you have similar ideas, or is it haven't you got to them yet?
So dragons, I love dragons. So I made them very special in my system. So some people like dragons being beasts, right? They breathe fire, they attack, and that's it. I made my dragons. Okay, so I played Vampire the Masquerade for a bit, and I like the concept of Methuselahs, which are dormant vampires who control their progeny through dreams and whatnot, and their progeny, and there's generations of these things. They get weaker and weaker as you get away from the first one. So I built my dragons along those same lines, right? The ancient dragon is more powerful than the old dragon, which is more powerful than the adult, which is more powerful, and they're all progeny of the first one of that race. And this guy, they're still alive, but they're dormant somewhere, and they're controlling their children through dreams and portents and all this. And so these dragons are, as you get more powerful, they become spellcasters and whatnot. And the way they reproduce that, so I did not like the image of dragons reproducing like horses, just mounting each other. I thought it was uncultivated, uncultured for a dragon, right? A dragon's supposed to be a majestic creature, and him rutting didn't fit my concept for what a dragon should do. So what I did was I said, dragons don't reproduce that way. A dragon is unisex. There's no male or female dragons. All of them can create eggs. So they create the egg and they imbue it with their power, which exhausts them. The more of their power they put in, so to be a full dragon requires them to imbue a lot of their power into it, which takes them out for quite some time. But what they could also do is they could grab like an elf or a human and impregnate the human with magic by only giving it just a little bit of magic. And so the creature that comes out is a half dragon or a quarter dragon or a dragon blooded. So that's how they do it. So they don't actually change into a human, have sex, because a dragon changing into a human, having sex with a human would be like you changing into a dog and wanting to have sex with a dog. You're just not interested, right? You're a human. You're like, you might be shaped like a dog, but you're still a human. A dog is not attractive to you. So the dragons are not going around having sex with humans and elves and whatnot to make baby half dragons. So I said what they're doing is if they need servants or half dragons, they will put some of their power into it. And if they just need a simple half dragon who can do a few things, they'll put a little bit. If they want one who's more of a guard with a little bit more power, they'll put a little bit more, and then they'll invest a little bit more and more of their power depending. And so I started this way back when, and when Dragonlance came out with the Draconians are exactly that concept, right?
I was just going to say, that sounds like it's so cool that you invented it first. That's
yeah. So that's how that's what I did with my dragons.
Yeah, cool.
So any other questions from the audience?
Gary was peppering a bunch.
Yeah. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite? Yeah. No, I mean, these are things that come up in the course of discussion.
Yeah.
You know, we've talked
I
about a lot of villains already
Mhm.
that Rich did, which some great ones. Sounds
I
like
have
that. Yeah, go ahead.
one kind of final question, so to speak. Where do you want to take your
That's
campaign
a
in
great
the
question.
future? Yeah, what
Ooh.
kind of areas have you not covered that you want to cover, or concepts or rules, ideas or stuff?
Good
Where
one.
do you want to see your game in 5 years, for instance?
To be honest, I've always give my players the opportunity, right, where they want to go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind going to the back Clooney lands and redoing the way it's
Oh,
done.
poor Bob Clooney. Now they're reeling in the back.
So I would have to,
Ah.
right, but I would redo that whole
Yeah.
culture. I like what Eddie Karras did, right? He made it much more a gin feeling,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and I like that concept. I would make it
Elemental.
much more elemental and gin
Yeah.
feel. So that's one way, one area I would explore if my players want to go there.
Mhm.
I might want to do a planar adventure. I'm not sure. I've never done one of those. So we'll see.
Really?
Yeah, I've never
So
done a
you
planar
have
adventure.
you
Never done
have you
Githyanki or anything. That'd
Yeah.
be cool.
No, I've done Githyanki, but I've never done a
Mhm.
planar. Sorry, a planar campaign.
Yeah, you
But
haven't have you developed your own version of the cosmos of the
no,
multiverse, or okay, you
no, because
stayed
my
away
players
from
were
that?
never interested. They were never
Uh-huh.
interested to try
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
So
So that's one area
one area.
to start touching. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I almost had them after against the Giants. I gave to get into like the plane of elemental fire, and
Yeah.
and they were close, but they opted not. They said, "No, we want to do a city campaign now." So I'm like, all right. I was close to do the elemental planes, but no.
Yeah.
It's you know, it's an acquired taste.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I haven't done that. And again, I might want to go back to the east, but my players kind of
No, no
are
east.
afraid of the Great Kingdom, the way I run it, so they're gun shy going back there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's you've been a lot. You've been a lot all over the map, which is cool. You know, you've hit a lot of locations, and it says that for a length of a DM, if your players keep coming back with ideas and they're not just say I don't care what I play, then you know you have a problem when they say I don't care anymore. But when they want to try new stuff, then you know you got them for years and years, which is a great
Mhm.
thing. So
Yes.
you know, and
Well, one thing about my systems is a point buy. Every session, the guys are anxious to play because they always have this laundry list of what the next stuff they want to buy is. So they'll
Mhm.
show up and they'll say, okay, my next 5 adventures I'm going to buy rank and sword. I need 2 in swimming. I need this spell. I need a bit. So they show up and they already have this laundry.
Yeah.
So
Can they buy anything, or do they have to kind of encounter it? Meaning,
Skill.
can they learn swimming without never having been close to water?
no, so from a role playing perspective, I have a rule that says you need to, based on how difficult the skill is, you got to find it. You got to spend X amount of time training for it.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Like crafts take longer than
Yep.
swimming or climbing, but you need to
Yep.
find somebody to train you, or it takes you 3 times as long to learn on your own.
That's basically my idea too.
Yeah.
So very
And
similar the way I do
So
it. Yeah.
the interesting thing is that since I started doing that, and I've done it from almost since the beginning, is that you don't get this thing where a guy goes from first level to 20th level in 3 months game time, right? Like in campaign time, because he has to keep training these new skills.
Mhm.
They have to take downtime. So they say, okay, so after the session, they'll say, Rich, our characters want to take a 1-month break. No adventure for a month. We don't go to the mercenary hall to look up anything. We just want to train for a month, learn new spells and whatnot. So I add like a month to the calendar. And so what ends up happening is a 4-year real-time campaign usually ends up being 4 years player time as well, almost coincidentally.
Yeah, it's a one to. I noticed
is
that too,
cool.
Rich. It's a 1-to-1 for me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I've gone about
if you
4
force them to train, if
Yeah.
you force them to
Yep.
train, yeah, and it makes sense, right? If you go from a
Yeah.
peasant to very powerful in 4 years, that seems reasonable, especially considering you're running around stressing yourself out fighting big stuff. You learn fast when you're about to get eaten every week.
Yeah.
Every week.
So what? So we're running at time, getting close to time here. What's going? What other community projects you got running? Got anything else going on?
Yeah,
currently?
okay, so those of you who are familiar with my indexes,
Mhm.
I have the Dungeon Index, which indexes every dungeon magazine with the adventures, the level it's for, and where it is, like where is there a sea adventure, city adventure, and whatnot. So I have that dungeon index. I have the Living Greyhawk adventure index, which
Wait,
is all.
the dungeon index is not just Greyhawk Adventures.
It's every dungeon adventure.
Right.
It actually tells you if it's Greyhawk, Forgotten Realms, and whatnot. You could filter by that,
Right.
or you could, you filter by the level if you want. It's a great. I did it for myself as a great tool. It's like, let's say I need an adventure, and I need a 5th level adventure. There you go. I'll grab it. Right. So I did that. I did a Living Greyhawk adventure. So all the Living Greyhawk adventures that went out, I did an index for that. Now I'm in the process of doing the Dragon Magazine index. So I'm reading every old Dragon magazine, indexing them, and I'm dividing the articles by whether it's equipment, a spell, a skill, like if it's about information on the Flaness, I have it there. Is it on deities? Is it monsters? So I have it. It's a big Excel sheet with all these different categories. I put a little X on them, so that you could say, look, I want to see every Dragon magazine article about spells. So you can filter on that, and you can go through them all and read those to get ideas for new spells or equipment or whatever you need. So that's what I'm doing right now. That's it's a big chore, that one.
Yeah. Where are you? What number dungeon you on? A dragon?
203, I think it is.
Okay.
I've
So
done
over
200.
halfway.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. So what would you like to say in closing to this discussion? As for first my Greyhawk person to come on. So
Well,
Yeah.
I just want to say, like, I like Greyhawk. I really enjoy the setting. I've played Forgotten Realms. I played Dragonlance and whatnot. I played White Wolf and whatnot. But I always keep coming back to Greyhawk. It's a fabulous world, and you could start small, like I did. Start in the Bandit Kingdoms, and then work your way outwards. And then you just jump around in time. And you say, I'm going to play in Joff, I'm going to play in Freon, I'm going to play in the Scarlet Brotherhood. And there's no reason why you could just jump around from campaign to campaign. And there's 30 years, and I'm always finding a new place to go. It just doesn't run out. So that's one of the nice things about Greyhawk. And again, any system. I play my own Mayhem system. I played 5e in Greyhawk. I played 1, 2, 3. I played Amy's hero system in Greyhawk. I played Pathfinder in Greyhawk. So Greyhawk is, it's pretty edition agnostic and system agnostic.
that definitely, absolutely is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So any final questions for Rich there on his game? Got a lot of information.
This
It's
is
really
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I must say that, Rich, you and me, we've started talking about this like maybe a year ago or something, but it's interesting that we have very similar, a lot of very similar ideas on the rule system and stuff where we want to go, so to speak.
I'll send it to you, Anna. Remind me, and I'll send you the.
Okay. Awesome.
Books.
Yeah.
You could basically steal what you want out of it.
Yep.
I'd have to say this is the first time I've played in a campaign where someone made their own game system. I've usually been in groups who've used published stuff, and some's good, some's bad. I've always stuck with D&D through the editions, but kudos for you putting in the time to develop your own.
And you just enjoy the fact that you got 2 crits, lopped off one of my monster's legs and his hand last session.
Yeah, it is getting pretty gory.
You don't have Kender or Gully Dwarves, do you? That's
No Kenders or Gully Dwarves.
All right, so give us a quick abridged version history of Lord Breslin, since we're getting that over and over again.
So Lord Breslin was he was born to a woman who was impregnated by a god, and he came out immaculate conception, fully formed. He didn't have a child; he was just fully formed as an adult. He walks on water. It's really remarkable.
Is he an NPC in your campaign, or
No,
what's the? Is it just someone you invented for?
So it started off. It was in Jason Zavoda's campaign.
Oh.
So Jason Zavoda came to myself and a few of us, and he said, I'm running a 1E.
You fuzzed
campaign.
out, Rich. Finally, you fuzzed.
What's that?
You fuzzed out finally.
Oh.
Now you.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Mhm.
So he came to us and he said, I'm going to run a 1E campaign. And I said, okay, I've never ever played a mage in my life. I avoid wizards and mages like the plague. I usually play clerics and fighters, barbarians, rangers, that sort of stuff. Never wizards. So I said, okay, I would play a 1E wizard. I figure this guy's shelf life is 1 session, maybe 2 max. And then I compounded the risk by making him a wizard with a paladin complex. So hence Lord Brezin. And Lord Brezin rides around on his horse at the front of the party with a big flag, advertising himself because, you know, he's Lord Brezin, right? It's like, you know, and I'm thinking this guy's not going to survive 2 sessions. That's it. He's going to get killed with the first monster, right? This is ridiculous. So, but he survived. He just kept surviving, this guy. And so his legend just kept growing over the craziness that I'd make this guy do. And I was having a blast with this first edition. And then Amy took over the campaign when Jason got sick and then eventually passed away. So she inherited Lord Brezin. And so she transferred him from first edition to hero. And we've been playing ever since. We've been having a blast. I mean, Amy's on. I think I have her laughing.
Isn't he the one who killed the Clavdra?
He's the one who killed the Clavdra.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah. We have fun.
He's becoming like an anachronism, though, of this, you know.
Yeah.
Right?
So he's a Sewell, and so he's almost like the way I pictured him and wrote him up was, you know, in the Kingsman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, the older guy. What's his name? The guy who says, you know, the clothing makes the man, whatever it is. You know, the guy with the cane. So I picture him like that, like a British gentleman soldier, right? Like, you know, there's a right way to do things and a wrong way. You got to do the right way. So I play him like very, you know, I play him like that, and we have a blast. And then from that, because it's Sewell, I kind of started playing him up in chat over and over and over again, and we kind of grew out of that. So that's where Lord Brezin comes from.
Cool. Yeah. He doesn't like Beckluni.
No.
Wow.
So classic Sewell.
Hopefully, the first edition of my Greyhawk went well for everyone out there.
I hope so. I hope it didn't bore anybody.
Oh man,
No,
Rich, you made it easy. We just
listen
to
was,
you.
Mm-hmm. This was fantastic. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to. This was a great show, I think. So I hope that you guys to watch think it was a good one too. So this, I think we're off to a great start, so to speak.
Good.
So we can have future episodes.
Yeah, I think keeping it to one it works that well, so we don't have to bounce back and forth. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's before we do the giveaway, let's do some shout outs here. So Rich, what's going on? What do you got? Anything you would like to shout out?
No, like I said, it's my Dragon magazine. It's going to be about a year or so to finish that. I mean, the Voda Index took me about 6 months, but I was unemployed at the time. So now with work and the new puppy and everything, is slowing
You know
down.
how that is, man. Work really throws a wrench into everything. So
yeah. So
we appreciate you changing your gym night too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Getting out of there. I would like to. I would love though. Someone should talk to Alyssa and her neck, every quarter, and have her maybe convince her to do Narsban. Do the map.
Oh, that'd be nice if somebody could do Narsban as a map.
Mm-hmm.
I can send her what I have because, so like I said, there's a story.
Yeah,
behind
I mean,
it, so
you can give her all the direction and stuff.
Yeah.
That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be a home run. So, but we can get to that point, down the road. I think she's got.
Well, my big thing is that I'm waiting for, and I know Gary's gonna get mad at me for saying this. I'm waiting for Cannon Fire to migrate to the new forum, and then I could help them out by migrating some of the older forum posts over, classify them so that it's easier to search them,
cool,
cross-index them, and all this.
That will be fantastic. There's so much hidden gems in there that
exactly.
That are lost, so to speak, or nearly lost.
So that would be exciting. If I had the next thing to go after, would be something like that, because that I think would help a lot of Greyhawk fans. There's so much information buried on Cannon Fire that we could mine.
Yeah.
So that would be nice.
A lot of people don't even know about the Adventure Finder or the city map one. I mean, they don't even know about those, which are right on the page.
So you want to know something pretty neat that many people don't know. If you double click on a word on any of the forums, the Zavoda index pops up on the right. It tells you where that can be found in any of the published material.
Wow.
Oh, you mean on Greyhawk Online?
Functionality.
No, in Cannon Fire.
Oh, you can fire. That's
Any
fantastic.
forum, if you click on a word, so if you click on IUs or in one of
Yeah.
the forum posts or narrative span or something like this, on the right side, the Zavoda index will pop up without you needing to type it in the search bar, and it'll tell you where this word got published in.
That is fantastic.
It's
Yeah.
all-
Yeah, the Zavoda index is pretty powerful. It took me forever. It's 66,000 rows
Wow.
Yeah.
in Excel and about
Now I need to
50 columns.
test that out just as
Well,
we
it was
speak.
working about a year ago. I think it didn't break, but yeah.
So Patrick, I'm not going to type this in. Patrick, I consider the videos of the shows as the archived, because they stay on YouTube forever, and I keep every single vid, so they're not, if something were to happen there, but that's just a lore keeper for that. That's another full-time job, right? Off of these shows. I mean, that would be an issue.
Well, you should have your wall of the top 10 shows, right? You should put the 5 of me, and then
That's good.
5 or 6. I don't know how many times I've been on, but well, actually, no, I've been on I think 3. Lord Brez has been on 3, so
Yes.
it's 2 different people.
I think the number one show of all time is when Len argued with me over the dream spell that Gary wrote. I think that was the best one. And then just disappeared angrily. So,
And
Rova-
one quick question for the Zavoda index: where can you find the list of what these abbreviations actually mean?
Oh, it's actually you just have to hover over them. If you
Oh
hover, it'll pop up. We fixed that.
no, I can't. I don't get that.
No, it used to be 1 sec. It used to.
Yeah.
it used to be able to. Gary and I set that up again. I haven't used.
Oh
it.
yeah, get you. Yeah, when you have over that one. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. If
I
you do
got you.
search
Yeah,
and you put, let's say,
get you,
IU
yeah.
or something.
The first one means settlement. So I'm sorry. Yep. Please go.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yep.
Yeah. So you actually just hover over it, and a little pop-up pops up, and it tells you what it is.
Oh, fantastic.
awesome.
Thank
Or
you.
I could, if you want, Amy, I could give you the Excel sheet. In the Excel
I
sheet,
have
it
the
has-
Excel spreadsheet.
Okay, so
you're
there's a
giving me yeah.
table that actually has all the
awesome. Yep.
all the stuff there.
Good old Mike. What's going on, man?
Well, it's Wednesday, so that means it's time for another blog post on
Oh,
Greyhawk Read.
Ooh.
Today, I got a quiz.
nice.
So if you got 90 seconds, feel free to test out your
Oh.
knowledge of capital cities of Greyhawk.
I'm not very good at that. Wow. I'll fail that. I'll definitely fail that one.
I can
Awesome.
probably go forward. The first 3, I'm good. Yeah.
The hand is already on it.
Oh yeah, I'm on it. I love this.
Check that out. Very cool, Mike. Anything else up? How you doing gaming wise?
I'm running Spelljammer. I'm running some basic D&D about once or twice a month, and I'm in Rich's game as we discussed. So
Okay.
gaming's good.
Awesome. Great to hear. What's up, Anna?
Okay, now I was into the quiz and I realized, damn, there's a time limit on this.
Yeah.
I'm screwed. But there was one that was difficult. I must say that.
Okay.
Shield Dance. Is it Crit Wall or Edmundford? That's a tricky one.
All
Yep.
right.
That's a tricky one. Yep. Okay. I'm going to do it later. So yeah, I'm
Okay.
going to restart it later. So okay, I just posted today the my Shield Lance pre-war Shield Lance
That's
provincial
awesome.
map. So I tried to sort out the provinces of Shieldlands prior to the Greyhawk Wars and the Horn Society invasion, meaning what it was in the golden days of Shieldlands, so to speak. What were the provinces? And it's a little bit tricky because Alhaster and that was not invented when the original were described and stuff. Then the Alhaster wasn't developed by Paisahawk and for the Age of Worms campaign. So I tried to weave that in. So instead of the 23 provinces that are talked about in the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer, because the earlier sources don't mention any of them, and then they are listed as 23. and then when you take the living Greyhawk, they are 21, I think, or 22, 23, depending on the sources in living Greyhawk. I made them into 25 by adding the Principality of Alhaster. I call it the Principality of Alhaster because Siege was a prince, so I simply assumed that he took the title came from his holdings, and then it became Red Hand after he defected from the Shield Land in
Oh.
582, 83 or something like
Okay.
that. Or 87, I think it was. Yeah, I'm not sure about the exact date, but so this is the map I tried to use for my own historic going back, so to speak, in the Shieldlands. There is a bunch of heraldry on it. I've added, I think there's like 6 or 7 of these provinces I've developed heraldry for. Eventually, I think I want to develop heraldry for all of them pre-war, so to speak, because I love historical things like that. But so that is coming. The map, the Shieldlands map, got out before the heraldry of the Death Knights and the Saints and stuff, because there was still, I think there's one left now to do. I've done all the others, so there will be a long laundry list that will come, and they will come very soon. So I will probably release it anyway. We'll see. But I've been a little bit funky a couple of days, but now I'm back again, especially after a wonderful show like this. So this makes my juices go in here, so it's good. So I'm really stoked for getting that heraldry out, and then there will be more for the heraldry compendium stuff, and the Atlas 598 Atlas is starting to gear up a little bit too. And then I have some other more long-term secret projects that I'm going to spill to my top patrons soon.
Gosh.
Yeah, there's some stuff that is brewing in the background that I want to do. And
Great.
the other big project right now is getting my new computer. That is gearing up too. I'm sitting on yeah. So things are crazy that way, because now is the time to go. So I'm certainly looking at, okay, if I get this, go this way, what kind of things, motherboard, what can I plug in, etc., and so on. So now it's down to detail level. So Intel looks like it has a little bit of an edge right now over AMD. So we'll see if it's basically down to what motherboard can I plug enough juice and goodies into in order to get the computer I want. So hopefully I can have that in a couple of weeks. Might be a good reason to have it. And then you will see me working 3D like bonkers and gangbusters for a few weeks, just because I will be like, yes, I can do it again. So I've been trying to stay away from World Machine and stuff for a little bit. So yeah, so those are the things. And thank you everyone who tuned in for a game last Sunday, and that was fun. So it was great. We had some people gave good feedback and seemed to like it, what we did. So that's coming back. And there will be a mapping live stream on Friday, I think. So yeah, everything looks like it's not 100% sure, but
Blue Box has his Overlord special, just note that night. So
okay, then we might stay away just to not steal any views from him. That might be a good idea to make sure that I don't want to encroach on other Greyhawk content. So yeah, creators. So yeah.
It's their annual special event. So we do have Ed Greenwood is confirmed on the Fantasy Mapping Show.
Yes.
Friday, November 18th, the Friday before Thanksgiving, where he's going to show us original maps of his world, that he has. He's digging up. So he's never shown them before. So,
no, it will be so much fun to that I really look forward to kind of get
Friday,
some
November
wonderful
18th,
comments from him. Yep.
Chuck, Friday, November 18th.
Yep.
That's set. I'm getting all the stuff for November coming. We'll talk about that real quick here. And Anna, thank you for all that. So tomorrow night, new adventure. It's an ode to the adventures, the Swarm. I edited extremely, so it's not. I just called it Swarms. Tito Luedi wrote it, and it was in Dungeon. I've changed it extensively, so it's a different adventure. But I want to give him some credit for it. So, and that's tomorrow night. This is the quarterly Miniature Building Authority giveaway. $75 gift certificate to Miniature Building Authority, and a $25 tomorrow night. Everyone, it's a big one. It's probably the biggest giveaway from a sponsor we do for one gift. So just note that's tomorrow night, all right, at the end of the stream. And then the ever mysterious Tim is on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Strange Days. So we got a crew that includes John from Blue Box and Mike Disney and the Naz all playing in this Rovers of the Barons game, and Tim that Tim runs and that I just produced. That is Saturday. Sunday, big guest. If you know anything about the D&D 5e community, we have Tanya DePass, Cypher Off Tier. You may know her as. She's a Twitch partner in the Black Dice Society on the D&D channel. DM for the Rivals of Waterdeep, another partnered stream. Lots going on there, and Anna and I are gonna sit down and just have a conversation. So we come from different worlds of D&D, so we'll see how that goes, and maybe we can share some points of reference that we have in common, and talk about the differences and what goes on in our D&Ds. So looking forward to that on Sunday. And then November, lots of stuff. Sean Reynolds is coming back. Ed's coming back. I'm trying to get the Ed game set up for 2 drink minimum. All the other stuff going as I go into the holiday season. We have a lot of neat stuff going on. We have a BattleTech game in December. So lots of fun things coming. All right, last call. You get your choice of 2 here. I2, N1, N4, Treasure Hunt, B4, and a couple experts, X9, X5, X12. All right, 2 of those. So, Rob, what's that? Into the Motherlands? I don't even. My brain is shut off. So tell me what. Elaborate a little bit there. That's her Kickstarter. Oh, it's you mean from from the Rivals of Waterdeep, the Rivals of Waterdeep Kickstarter. Is that the one you're talking about? Yes, I know, but she has a Rivals of Waterdeep Kickstarter going on. Is it the same one? I know about that one. Yeah. So I don't know if it's a different one or not, but I already knew about that one, Rob. Just let me know if it's one and the same. So, last call. Yeah, send me the details, please, Rob, because I know she has the Rivals of Waterdeep Kickstarter going on. All right, 10 seconds. See who wins. 5, 9, 8, 7. I can't even add. Here we go. The winner tonight, Naz, all the way from the UK. I'll get you worked out, Naz. I'll get Naz. I'll take care of Naz all the way over to the UK. We'll figure. I'll get him set up. So, Rich, thanks a lot for coming on. Appreciate it.
It was fun, like always.
That was first of many. So we're gonna reach out to the community, and we're going to get this once a month, or at intervals. We'll reach out to you all and be prepared to talk for about 2 hours, as much as Rich did, which was great and made it easy for us. So I'm gonna raid into Stella. She's running Ghost of Saltmarsh campaign. It's her birthday too. Okay.
Ooh.
There you go. So we're gonna raid into Stella tonight, and we'll get that. I will take care of the Naz, and thank you for all both the raids, 3 raids, Blue Box, and the 2 raids that just came in. Really appreciate it, and thank you, community. See you tomorrow night, 7:30. 3 more streams this week. Just remember Thursday night, Saturday morning, Sunday night this week, and I'm gonna hit some buttons here. Hopefully I didn't hit the wrong one. See you soon. All right, have a good one. Woohoo! Am I going to hit the wrong one? Let's hit the raid into Stella here. I'm almost positive it's her birthday. If it's not, it's gonna be embarrassing. But I'm almost positive if it is. So, yeah, Rob, send me those details. I want to make sure it's the same thing. She's on B right out. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you tomorrow night. Everyone, have a good one.
Yeah, Rich, you talking about your spreadsheets. Now you're on my spreadsheet.
What do you mean, your spreadsheet?
For topics.
Oh, there you go. So I hope you like that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was great. Thank you. Yeah. It was...
It's nice